You're listening to WZYE 95.9 FM. You are listening to WZYE 95.9 FM, the most influential name in Caribbean radio in the tri-state area. Broadcasting from East Orange, New Jersey, the most influential name in Caribbean radio, WZYE 95.9 FM.
Mr. Trinidad, tell me what scene you on. Do you just like political confusion? You criticizing the way you live, yet you can't produce an alternative. You say you against the power structure, you ain't like the opposition either. But take care, you jump out the hot water and end up in the center of the fire. Because you refuse to vote in election, but then you want revolution. You're strongly against communism. You walk out on colonialism. You say if William had to go, but who to replace him? You ain't know. So to make a long story short from in front, Trinidadians they really know what they want. My friend, if you don't want democracy, the opposite is guerrilla activity. If you don't want democratic improvement, you have to want a revolutionist government. And yet when Guy Harewood went in the hills with Jennifer Jones, you let them get killed. All you're doing is grinning and skylarking. You come like the ass in the lion's skin, because you say Robinson is a traitor. You say what's than that about Ranger. You say Kamal seeking the own interest. You call Millet a Marxist Leninist. You are ODAC, neither DLP, and you say PNM is only ratchet beam. Well, you tying up yourself. I gonna tell you why. Trinidadians just like plenty mama guys. Afro-Trinidadian talking black power. It's not wrong for a man to love his culture. Yes, you walk around with your Afro flat and you're dragging a maggot and fat. But although they're rapping about Africa, you're eating roti like if you're born in India. So who you go blame when you make your book and end up like a cat on a hot tin roof? Because you say you're going Afro all the way. You smile when they bring in to the mail. William say he want to retire. You beg him to stay a little longer. You reject call act on public order. Now you want to say call for Prime Minister. Like your sense of reasoning goes and comes. It won't surprise me if you call back Albert Guns.
I say you get up one morning. Your elders have something. You don't know how they get it, but you want to use it. But if you ask them old people to get the things what they went through, ask them this any day, and and your parents sure to say, black man have to keep on jamming. For black man to get a little something. Make up your mind, brother, that you're able to get a pulley and jam with the devil. Why? Black man have to keep on jamming. For black man to get a little something. Make up your mind, brother, that you're ready to swim offshore and hold your boat steady. Black man have to keep on jamming. For black man to get a little something. So when you're here, you get a little something. With that dragon eye, you keep watching, because I don't tell you already. Black man don't get nothing easy. I say you get up one morning, and oil money running. How it come you don't know, so that it care how the thing go. But if they read about Uriah, they wanna find out the pressure. How we get so much old hell to get a penny from TLL. Black man have to keep on jamming. For black man to get a little something, you got to take up your own cash money, pay people for your own refinery. Black man have to keep on jamming. For black man to get a little something. Make up your mind to be a magician, to make money out of scrap iron. Black man have to keep on jamming. For black man to get a little something. So when you're here, you get a little something. With that eagle eye, you keep watching, because I don't tell you already. Black man don't get nothing easy. Say we got up one morning, independence happening, getting the thing come easy. Now they're taking liberty, but if they know about petition, we have to send to England for some woman to tell we in this colony free. Black man have to keep on jabbing, for black man to get a little something. You got to go to conference in England to get independence in your own land. Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. People hold you, humiliate you, turn on and sell you, and then they free you. Black man have to keep on jamming, for black man to get a little something. So when you're here, you get a little something. With that dragon eye, you keep watching, because I don't tell you already. Black man don't get nothing easy.
Keep me as the apple of thine eye. Hide me under the shadow of thy wing. O Lord, my Savior. It's so hard to deal with personal struggle. So sad when you feel alone in your trouble. It's real hard when you want to talk to a brother. It's so bad because of how some look at you after. So Jesus, cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me. Cover my head. Satan want me dead. Cover my back from human attack. So Jesus, cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me. People see you smile, but don't know the hurt that you're feeling. Even as God's child, at times your heart does be bleeding. Where can you go when you're really looking for healing? Who know how to flow when your soul needs some restoring? So Jesus, cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me. Cover me home from evils unknown. Cover my feet so I'll never retreat. Oh Lord, cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Cover me while you fix it. Jesus, cover me.
Truer words were never spoken. The less you associate with some people, the more your life will improve. Anytime you tolerate mediocrity in others, it increases your mediocrity. An important attribute in successful people is their impatience with negative thinking and negative acting people. As you grow, your associates will change. Some of your friends will not want you to go on. They will want you to stay where they are. Friends that don't help you climb will want you to crawl. Your friends will stretch your vision or choke your dream. Those that don't increase you will eventually decrease you. Consider this. Never receive counsel from unproductive people. Never discuss your problems with someone incapable of contributing to the solution, because those who never succeed themselves are always first to tell you how. Not everyone has a right to speak into your life. You are certain to get the worst of the bargain when you exchange ideas with the wrong person. Don't follow anyone who's not going anywhere. With some people you spend an evening. With others, you invest it. Be careful where you stop to inquire for directions along the road of life. Wise is the person who fortifies his life with the right friendships. If you run with wolves, you will learn how to howl. But if you associate with eagles, you will learn how to soar to great heights. A mirror reflects a man's face, but what he is really like is shown by the kind of friends he chooses. The simple but true fact of life is that you become like those with whom you closely associate, for the good and the bad. Note, be not mistaken. This is applicable to family as well as friends. Yes, do love, appreciate, and be thankful for your family, for they will always be your family, no matter what. Just know that they are human first, and though they are family to you, they may be a friend to someone else and will fit somewhere in the criteria above. In prosperity, our friends know us. In adversity, we know our friends. Never make someone a priority when you are only an option for them. If you are going to achieve excellence in big things, you develop the habit in little matters. Excellence is not an exception. It is a prevailing attitude.
Let me say a special hello to all the WZYE 95.9 FM listeners. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, it's in the village with your dad triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, we come to you every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. That's Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. And you know how we always say it here in the village, we originate, we don't imitate. Doesn't matter what color t-shirt you have on a purple t-shirt, you have on a gray t-shirt, a burgundy t-shirt. Each and everyone is welcome in the village with the dad triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, doesn't matter what planet you're from Mazatanians, Venerians, Sonarians. Each and everyone is welcome in the village with the dad triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM.
It have our place, WZYE, where they treat you like friends and family. So if you're looking for a place to belong, going WZYE, you could come along. If you have haste, do come with me. We do have dad on WZYE, Santa Medite.
Of course, you know who that is. Let me bring in 1/3 of the dad triplets, no other than the one and only, the commissioner in Newark, the man himself, the man from Marabella, which is a constituency we are thinking about in Trinidad and Tobago today, wondering, did the UNC win it, did the PNM win it? No other than the man himself, the commissioner in Newark, Thomas E. Marshall Nisbet, boy. Tommy, welcome.
Good evening, and happy day after LGE to you.
Yeah, okay. I thought I was going to say LGBTQE, you know.
Oh, that's a good one. That was a good one.
Yeah, I said, where Tommy going, boy?
You know, finally, LGE has come and it's gone, and Now it's the aftermath.
Yeah. That is the thing, man. It come and it gone, boy. I want to see now. I want to see now how the results gonna affect the poor, disadvantaged people in Trinidad and Tobago. I
Do
want
you
to see how
think,
they're going to improve their lives now.
how long you going to wait to see that?
Well, they say this is local government reform, right?
Okay.
Right? So that means to say that if reform means to say things are going to be better.
Okay. All
Well, the
right.
Ashanti Kingdom gone already, and we ain't seen no improvement yet.
Okay.
So,
So that was supposed to be what Ashanti reform.
well, I mean, maybe a Ghanaian reform. I don't know. I don't know. Some type of reform, but I know we had to wait and see. You know, we had to give it like a year.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
You had to get, yeah, you had to see if the councillors and them go be full time or part time. You know? Oh God, Tommy boy,
We we
boy,
we have,
man, show.
we have to actualize the reform. That's what you're saying. But what is the reform?
Yeah, absolutely.
Other than property taxes coming, what else is going to be reformed?
Well, they say how when they collect the property tax, it's gonna
Mm-hmm.
go back into the burgesses, and
All
it's
right.
gonna be improved now because the corporation collecting the property tax themselves.
All right.
What's the mechanism they have for that in place, Tommy? What's the mechanism? They ever tell you about the mechanism they have in place to do that?
I don't know if you knew. I would have known too. But I
Have
know
they have anybody asked that question? What is the mechanism in place to collect property taxes?
you would want to think all this reform talk that what we will be discussing, or what we should have been discussing, was the actual operationalizing of the reform.
Correct is right. You know, and operationalize and the implementation of these are the things that's gonna happen, and here's when it's gonna happen and how it's gonna happen. Right?
Exactly.
So as soon as the councillors come in, all of them go be full time.
They could hit the ground running because tomorrow begins. When does it begin? Today. Today, the new job begins.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe when the parliament starts back, but to me, the day after, them should all be full time. They should already have our office. All these things should be set in place already.
And they should know what their remuneration packages are.
Correct. You know what your remuneration package is? All you're gonna be making A, B, C, D, E. You know if you're getting a car, if you're getting a jalopy, if you're getting a bicycle, wherever you're getting, right? You would already know that. But it does seem like if they know that. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they know it and we just don't know.
Yeah. Well, hopefully
You
our
know?
guests tonight will edify us as to what's supposed to
Yeah,
take
yeah,
place
yeah,
with this
yeah.
fancy
They'll edify. Yeah, all right. So first in the village tonight was Rennie.
Dr. Love. Dr. Love.
Dr. Love was first in the village. Good night to you, Dr. Love. No other than the Love Doctor. Humble good night to all my brothers and sisters. Love in the house. Dr. Love. Dr. Love stepped up after election, boy. Maybe things gonna change, you know what I mean? Rennie says sending out humble, satisfiable love to everyone. Yeah.
All right.
Respect to the panel, Mr. Walls, Lady Diana, Mr. Tommy. Yeah.
Respect to you, Dr. Love.
Yeah. Rennie says after a storm is calm, even then you know who you are, and I know who I am. We need no bribery from single figure. If fear our minds, we need no trigger. When time pass, don't forget who's still knocking glass. Well, I'm gonna go to the next part. Yeah. Well, the politics fever done. Who light up and who get bun. Life goes on the same. All of we still have we own name. Who won blood and who won the high. The high. Who won? All right, the high. Next thing, Them
What that,
poll.
that's what I or that DHAL. Dal.
Oh, Dal. Okay. Uh, okay, Dal. Okay, Dal. Who won blood and who won Dal? Next thing, them poll. Guys, poll? Them poly or poly? Next thing, them poly want to be a pen pal. Santi Manite. All right, Rennie. I also kind of think my glasses there a little bit, but
He kind of have us double focus today.
yeah. So, oh, you went on so far, so good. We live together in love and brotherhood. After the hustling and bustling in the country, we find real friendship in WZYE. And here we stress free. Don't let them pulley come between all of we. Full 100, full 100. Yeah. 100. Yeah. Nadia, good night to you. Good night, everyone. Good night to you, Nadia. So I think we're expecting Dr. Shane Mohammed in somewhat early tonight. Nadia says, Anselm, good night. Tommy, good night.
Good night, Nadia.
Yeah. She says, Rennie Mohammed, good night. Albert, Vonnie, Ken, John Ellis, Troy Capiza, good night. Diana Benskin, good night. Nadia. Keisha, good night. Curtis Monteshad, good night. Good night, everyone. Yeah, Curtis. Nessie said, good night, ADT. Nessie, where's ADT? What she mean when she mean by ADT?
And Slim, Diana, and Tommy.
Nah. Okay. All right. I thought she was talking about the alarm company, You know, ADT is an alarm company, right? I thought she was talking about that. Rajvi say PNM1. Okay. Nessie say they're going on lockdown just now, that reform. Yeah? Mean Jean says, good evening, WZYE. Good evening to you, Mean Jean, as well.
Good evening, Eugene.
Hey, Tommy, Nessie says, smart, Tommy, you got it. Tommy, Tommy, you're on the ball, I thought she was talking about some alarm company or some kind of thing. I mean, ADT. I know that is, my mom has ADT as an alarm company. I didn't know.
Yeah, I know what ADT is, but I also realized where she went with it.
Oh, she went that place they were. Yeah, full 100, eh? I think she marks they were. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Diana, welcome. Welcome, Diana.
You know how long in the backstage they're waiting on you?
Good evening, Diana.
You know, it figures why he didn't make out DHL as Dal and ADT is the three of us. Oh, I don't know, boy.
No. It took him. I mean, he knows it as DAT.
The program.
So, folks, tonight, you know something? I want to say something, eh?
Say something.
Trinidadians, Trinbagonians had to stop sharing misinformation. And let me tell you why. I'm gonna go to my phone, right? You know,
is that about 30,000 votes?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's like, you know what it has come like now? Who can be exposed to share misinformation? Or to share somebody being shot, or to share somebody bleeding on the ground? Seriously. It's like we are cynical now as a people. Let me read this one.
We glorify mayhem.
Yeah?
We glorify mayhem.
Is there somewhere in Trinidad and Tobago we could go to get the actual number of people who voted for whom? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So you could settle that.
Yeah, I'm gonna settle. I have it.
Oh, you have it good.
This is what it says. The people won. Eligible voters, 1,078, 1,078,653. Actual voters, 116,638. That is
So that's
only 10.8%.
10% of the population.
Seeing that 89.2% of the population said something. No, it's wrong. It's inaccurate. Totally
What is,
wrong.
what is an accurate answer?
That's inaccurate.
The numbers
It's
don't
30.
seem right.
Huh?
The numbers don't seem logically correct.
Just don't seem right. 116,000 people voted. I mean, come
Okay.
on. Come on. I mean, the math's just not in maths in. I mean, think about it. The PNM got 130,000 votes.
Mm.
Eh? How could
Mm.
116,000 people vote and the PNM get 130,000 votes?
Because
Mm.
116,000 people is way less than 10%.
I mean, you know, and these are the kind of things that.
But I beg to differ there, because if it is saying 116,000 people voted, but yet the PNM get what, 130?
130,000.
Will they get them additional 14,000 from?
No, but first to begin, it doesn't seem logical as to.
I just asking for a friend.
But it wasn't 116,000.
So how many people actually voted?
They say 30 point something percent. 30.
330,304 people voted.
330, 304?
30.34%.
Right.
There was an electorate of 1,091,935 in 41 electoral districts in Trinidad. Voter turnout 30.34%. Total votes 331,300. 996 rejected. Total 330,304.
996 rejected.
Yes.
Spoiled ballots.
Spoiled ballot. Yes, spoiled ballot.
Okay.
I'm gonna bring it up for you guys. And this is part, you know, and you know what it'll say? Oh, you want to think you're brighter than everybody else. That's what it is. Look at it on the screen right there. This is from the BBC, yeah? Right? And I don't live in Trinidad. I don't live in Trinidad. And we have to stop this. We have to stop it. Don't try to be the first one to put something on social media. Don't try to be that. Let's try to see how we could get accurate information. Get factual information.
Check it.
Yeah, fact check it. Let's see how we could get actual information out to the people. So let me get it here. Hold on, let me get the number. Let me see if I could expand that here. No, not there. Okay, let me do this. Let me go to the EBC actual website. Okay, here it is here. All right, so I'm gonna read it from my screen. The preliminary. This is from the EBC. Yeah? The preliminary results for the 2023 local government election. While the proceedings relative to recounts in 14 electoral districts is underway, so there's recount in 14 electoral districts. These are the preliminary results of the local government election of Monday, the 14th August 2023. With an electorate of 1,091,935 in 114 electoral districts in Trinidad, there was a voter turnout of 30.34%. Right? The total votes cast were 331,300 with 996 rejected. All right? So here it goes. The Movement for Social Justice got 164 votes. Right? Which was, let me give you the percentage. 164 votes was 0.0004% of the total votes. Right? The National Transformation Alliance received 15,997, which is 5% of the overall votes. The PNM received 130,868, which was 40%. The PDP received 1,287, which was 0.003%. 0.0, folks. 0.7% of the overall votes. PEP received 5,930, which was 2% of the overall votes. United Farmers Alliance received 1,041 votes, which is 0.003% of the overall votes. The National Party, I never heard of them, received 45 votes, which is 0.001%. The UNC received 173,961, which is 53% of the votes. The Unity of the People received 110 votes, which is 0.0003%. There were 6 independent candidates. They received an overall 667 votes, which is 0.002%. And there was a party called the Trinidad Humanity Campaign, which received 234 votes, which is 0.0007% of percentage of the
And
overall.
what about the Trinidad and Tobago Democratic Front? Them wasn't up in there?
No, their name not in there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, them name not.
Mm.
Right. So this is directly from the EBC website recently. They put that out today. And it's instructive for us to understand if we look at this. If we look at these, let me come back here. If we look at these numbers, the NTA received 5% of the votes. They were in third place by a mile compared to fourth place. For example, PEP received 5,930 votes, which is 2% of the votes, right? NTA received 5%. So the NTA received over 100% more votes than PEP, which finished fourth place. The PDP, if you go down in Port of Spain, you will still see people trying to vote for them.
No, answer. That's that PNM dirty behavior coming out.
Then the PDP tried the best.
That's that PNM behavior coming out.
Hey, Dr. Mohammed, welcome. Why are you laughing? You're not supposed to laughing.
You missed it last night. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I've had a long. You could imagine my day. I would say I am very pleased by what I have been able to accomplish in this local government election.
Your stock going up, boy. Your stock going up.
Boy,
You know, boy.
listen.
I don't have an IPO, initial public offering on Wall Street, boy. Dr. Shane Mohammed, boy. Right? DSM. Like the symbol. The symbol is DSM, boy.
I was actually talking to my father, and I were having a conversation just as I finished. Imagine, I got up this morning and I only had a cup of coffee when I got up this morning. I had a cup of coffee and I have been in front of that laptop. I had an interview that began early this morning. Then I went into an international conference that I did with the International Leadership Association. I had an interview with The Guardian. I had an interview with TV6. I had an interview with The Express. I mean, all of that to say to you all is that I was telling my father, I said, that is not me. All of that, I give thanks and praise to one man, and that's the man that's up there, right? And I maintain my humility by saying that I am not where I am without the grace of God. But to be able to predict actually the final result for another election, and last night on CNC3 when they asked about the voter turnout, and I said it's going to be anything between 30 and 32%. And then to see it this evening on paper was really something. But as I walked into the station just now and you're talking about the PDP, I don't know if anybody realized that the PDP campaign team, were dressed in CPEP coveralls.
Yeah, I see that. I saw that.
So in between the banter that was going on while they were interviewing the campaign manager for the PDP, and he was talking about, yes, me and Jean, I got a long story this evening on TV6. I must say I was pleasantly surprised but thankful at the same time. I said when they said they were going to clean the streets of Port-au-Prince. What? Yes, they said they were anticipating to clean the streets of Port-au-Prince. I said, well, we need to hand them some brooms.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, hey, listen, I could send them some virtual brooms too. You know, I mean,
Hmm.
you want to go and clean up the thing, but you know, 1,287 votes. That is, listen, the United Farmers Alliance get 1,041. You know,
I'm not surprised by that.
eh?
I'm not surprised by that.
I mean, you know, I mean, I was like flabbergasted. Well, I mean, the MSJ, we know the MSJ, 164 votes. They were just in point 14, right? They just ran in point 14. So,
Let me tell you this, sir. I could, as I told TV6, and I will say it tonight to you all, that I am disappointed that Gary Griffith didn't listen to my advice, and he didn't make a better he didn't go to the table with a better negotiating plan, because I really think that I was really looking forward to him at least taking at least one seat in Diego Martin and having an impact, a greater impact. I genuinely thought he would have made a greater impact.
what was
Um,
that advice he didn't take?
I said to him, so my advice to him is, in any negotiation, in any political negotiation that you're entering into, you don't go in there like a dog with a bone, or with your cap in hand. You go in there because then you know you are needed by the party that has asked you to come on board. And if you know you need me, then you must be able to bargain with me. So
Let me negotiate for my strength as opposed to weakness.
exactly, don't expect, and he didn't like that. He didn't take the advice. Don't expect me to come to you, and when I sit with you, you give me all the seats that the PNM is in the PNM stronghold, and you take all the easy seats that you could win, and I have to struggle to amass votes, right? Um, he didn't take the advice when I said to him to negotiate for some safer seats so that you could balance off the scale a little bit. Um, he was adamant that he didn't want to do it because he was not going to quote unquote beg, and I did not see it as begging. It is part of negotiating. If you
Negotiation.
want me to take the hard, if you want me to take the difficult seats, that's fine. But you must also be prepared to allow me to have some relevance and not to be annihilated. And I mean, he should have been able to. Well, I'm waiting to see if he was able to amass any number of um
Hold on,
to,
caller.
to, to get a at least an alderman in Diego Martin.
Let's take this call. Hello, caller. You're on WZYE 95.9 FM.
Pleasant good evening to you, Wall Street. Good evening to Dr. Mohammed, and good evening to Nunez-Tesheira and your other guests, right?
Well, all we have
I'm
right
calling
now
from
is
Trinidad and Tobago.
right. All we have right now is Dr. Shane Mohammed, and we have Tommy and Diana as well.
All right, a pleasant good evening to you all. I've been looking at the election in Trinidad and Tobago. I am presently a political science student at the University of the West Indies. I'm in my final year. However, it's interesting to see that Dr. Mohammed was able to predict correctly, which I must applaud him for. However, when you look at the dynamics of the politics in terms of the UNC making road waves, inroads into the PNM districts, you can clearly see that the electorate is fed up. However, when you looked at the voter turnout, you can also see that the electorate is sending a strong message that they are both fed up of Dr. Rowley, and they're also fed up of Kamala Persad-Bissessar. So the electorate is sending a message and stating that we want new voices, new people, and young blood. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. What do you say, Dr. Mohammed?
This student is right, and I said that just now on TV6. The
Dr. Mohammed,
voice.
that's a good fellow you could mentor, you know.
I
The
know who
voice.
that is, you know. Ansel, who's that?
Paul,
Yeah.
not Paul.
I pick up
What's
his
his name?
voice.
Eh?
What is his name?
Ah,
Paul.
huh?
False
Paul.
Paul.
Paul
Yeah,
Saran.
yeah, that Paul Saran. Listen, Mom, Dr. Mohammed, when we first started here, right?
Yep.
We only used to have like 2 or 3 people on the live, and Paul used to tell me, "Oh, you only
Oh,
had
we
two."
only have 50 subscribers.
Paul.
Eh?
Paul Saran.
Yeah, Paul
You're
Saran,
not the Paul Saran that's with Gary Griffith.
not the one with Gary Griffith,
A different one.
a different one.
Paul Saran.
Correct.
Yeah. There are two that are present. Yeah.
I wonder if I may have taught Paul. I think I would have taught Paul at some
Yeah,
point
he
in time.
used to laugh at us.
Yeah. But Paul is a friend of WZYE right now, and as a matter of fact, we're bringing him on Thursday. We're bringing Paul on
Okay.
Thursday because
Okay.
so
Okay.
I think that's a young man, because listen, I tell people, you see, we in here, we want to lift people up rather than to pull them down. That's what
Agreed.
we're not interested. So Dr. Mohammed, let's continue. We were
So,
talking about
so I did say to him that you need to negotiate when you can't go in there with pride, and you're not going in there with a lack of pride either. You are needed. You have been asked to join something. You've been summoned. You've been asked to come before the lady. If Kamda Prasad Visasa is to call me and say, Shane, we really need your strategy and that kind of thing, I would say, okay, cool. I said there's several things that I would require. I ain't doing this for free, right? Which seat are you offering me? Which portfolio are you giving me? And what part of what space on your national executive is mine? End of conversation. And if you can't answer those 3 questions, then I will take my leave and do something else differently.
You know what I say to my kids all the time? I said everything is negotiable.
Correct.
Everything is negotiable. Don't take anything off the table, and they take whatever they negotiate with their job, anything. They put everything on the table, and they tell them why I should get A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
I also had a very interesting conversation with Dr. Emery Brown, who I've known Dr. Emery Brown. Emery and I have been friends for a very long time, and he was very, as usual, very encouraging. It was very, what I love about Amory. When I said to him yesterday, I said, you didn't get 10 out of 10 from me because we're friends. You got 10 out of 10 for me because I believe you are one of those that is holding up the government. And in your portfolio as Minister of Foreign Affairs, you have given Trinidad and Tobago, you've placed Trinidad and Tobago on the international stage once more after not being there for 5 years.
Listen, Dr. Mohammed, I want to agree with you full 100.
Yeah.
Because Dr. Amy Brown have done a splendiferous job.
Absolutely exceptional
in that position.
job.
And you know, Dr. Mohammed, and I just want to tell PNM people this, you see me, I will give Jimmy jacket. I'm saying it that way.
Yeah.
Jimmy jacket and Jack is boots is Jim boots.
Yeah.
Because that guy has done a splendiferous, tremendous job. When you hear the guy go on a platform and he speaks, you could see that, oh, this is a guy I could listen to. And I listened to what they were talking about last night too as well.
Yeah.
You know, with you and Dr. Rampasad and Dr. Bishnu and then the other there. That was an excellent panel. You understand, with excellent ideas that came out from the panel. And when you go over to the young lady from PEP, the guy from NTA and the other gentleman and Amy Bong. Amy Bong was very good. He was very good.
He's excellent. He's excellent.
We need more
Amy Browns.
Yeah. You don't need to hear Fitzgerald. You don't need to hear, and Scotland and Marvin Gonzalez. Them guys.
Well, you see, I'll tell you this about Marvin Gonzalez. Marvin can be charming if he wants to be. But Marvin has not understood the art of political diplomacy just yet. And there's a time and a place for everything. So I looked at Marvin and his body language. I got a chance to observe Marvin and his body language after I came home last night because TV6 was running the repeat of their coverage. And I'm saying to myself, wow. I mean, if you meet Marvin in person, he's quite an amiable individual. No need for you to have this bad John, this, oh my
He's trying to
God.
be somebody he's not. He's trying
No,
to.
exactly.
He's
Exactly. Just be
listen,
yourself.
yeah, just listen, man. You know what? Be yourself, man.
Just be yourself.
Yeah, just be yourself. Well, you come up there, and when you talk about, also, you might have to give up TV, or you might have to give up macaroni pie, and he's going to the side and he's going to the left. Like, Marvin, just be Marvin, boss. And that is
Marvin.
it. But you gotta try and impress the boss, so.
You can't even, you see, I'll tell you something, right? But don't ask me no more when I tell you this. Eh?
Okay, all right.
I already know who the competition is in 2025. Because I
Okay,
already know who's been anointed already.
okay. In the
And
PNM?
watch me,
In
because
the
it was
PNM?
very, 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 very blatant yesterday who is the anointed one.
Wait now, when they
Because
had the press conference?
when the Prime Minister was speaking.
Oh, I noticed that, and I said, but wait. I say one to the right, one to the left, and then there's two of them right next, one right next to him to his left, and then one right next to her left, and then the one over on the right, and then there's one to his left, right in the back. I said, oh, all right.
But there's one that is definitely the anointed one, and that individual has stiff competition from the one that was struggling to come to the front to get a little space in the front. And I'll give you a hint: the one that's struggling for a little space in the front, I don't understand why the individual tries so desperately hard.
But that person was over to the left, right? He was to the left of the Prime Minister.
He would have been to the right of the Prime Minister. If the Prime Minister is looking at the camera, he was to the right. The anointed one was to the left.
Oh, okay.
And I don't understand why the one that was funny, you're asking me too much. You're gonna have to figure it out.
Tiptoeing.
The one that was in the back, I say to myself, why do you try so hard to sound so much like Mr. Manning? More than Mr. Manning's own son.
Dr. Shane, leave my partner alone.
Your partner is a fraud.
Leave my partner alone.
Fraud.
Leave my partner alone.
Your partner has no space, no place, no right, no nothing to the leadership of the PNM.
Leave my partner alone.
Your partner is good.
He just tell everybody, I's a friend. I don't know how I's a friend, but I will just tell everybody.
That's your friend to have. That's your friend to have. My friend that I met on set yesterday and had a conversation with, that's friend to have. That quality people friend to have.
Oh, God.
Were you picking up dog on the side of the road as your friend, boy?
No, I'm my partner. I'm my partner. Bonnie, male or female. Bonnie, you know Dr. Shane was going to be on CNC and you didn't even look. Shame on you, Bonnie. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you. You know what I mean? Come on.
There is an anointed one, and it was very clear yesterday. Whether or not that anointed one can take them to the promised land in 2025, I don't believe so. I don't believe so.
Yeah, left to be. So, Dr. Mohammed, currently we have 14 electoral districts where there are recounts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Currently, let me know if these numbers are right. The UNC is at 72 and the PNM is at 69. Right?
No.
What?
The UNC is at 71 and the PNM is at 70.
Oh, all right. There was one difference when I looked at it. All right. So one down for each. One up and one down.
Yeah.
One up. And in 2019, we were at 72 for the PNM and 67 for the UNC.
68 for the UNC.
No, 67.
68.
Because it was 139. It was 139 back then, 2019.
So 68 and 71.
Oh no, but on the EBC website they have 67 and 72. Anyway,
Dr. Ragoonath and I, it could be, but Dr. Ragoonath and I probably checked it Because him and I were looking at it as well.
Right. As a
but
matter of, let me see if I have
whether it is so.
It is. Yeah, but that means to say that let's say the UNC is at 71, right?
Yeah.
The UNC increased by 4 or 3 or 4 from 2019.
Yes.
That's an improvement.
Okay.
If we want to look at it from a factual basis, it's an improvement. Right?
Of 4 seats.
3 or 4 seats, yeah.
Of 4 seats only.
Yeah, but so you're not putting any stock in that, them going from 68, all right, Bonnie says 68 to 71 as an improvement?
No.
Why not?
How is that going to increase their stock in the local government, in the general election?
No. I'm not talking about general election. I'm talking about local election.
But they're still tied.
I'm separating the two. I'm separating
local
election from the general election.
Okay, let's have that conversation then.
Yeah.
What is the difference?
I mean, what is the difference? We have 3 more councillors.
But
that's a big difference.
No, it's not.
What about if you had 3 less councillors? There no difference either?
It would be no difference either.
Wow, how also?
Okay, let me take it. Let's do that. Right?
Yeah, also.
Let's do it. Let's take away 3. Let's take away the 3 to take them back down to 68, right?
Yeah.
Valencia West, Marabella West, and Marabella East.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
That's it. 7-7.
But doesn't that have an effect when time for you to sit down around the table to vote? If you have more councillors?
No, because you're still in control. But Anselm, you're still in control of the same corporation.
No. This is the amount of seats I am talking about. I'm talking about the amount of councillors.
Boy, listen to me. I hear you on that. Valencia West, you just added 1 to Sandy Grande, right?
Yeah.
They had Grande anyways. So by adding 1, it doesn't make a difference. The only thing it would do is possibly give them 3 instead of 2 aldermen. But that's debatable, depending on the number.
And I was going to get to that.
The majority doesn't matter. You're still in control. It doesn't matter. You're in control of the corporation, right?
Okay.
Marabella West, Lesserford West, La Romaine. Which one again? Marabella South, Vistabella, and the 4th one is
the one that they increase.
Marabella East, I think, right?
Let me tell you.
The one that they needed would have been Taruba Koki, which is where the recount is taking place. Right? So they're still gonna try to see if they could again get it. I don't think they're gonna get it. At 48 votes, highly unlikely. Now in Mayaro, there's a count for Mayaro North where there's only 20 votes separating them. Up here in Santa Margarita, they are recounting the Santa Margarita seat because it's 54 votes. They're counting over the La Florissant Lupino seat because it's just over 150 votes. Anything that is that large is going to be very difficult to bring it back down to a winnable to flip. The 20 could possibly flip. The 12 could possibly flip in Sandy Grande Northeast. But anyhow you take it, whether it increases, it does not change the fact that the only thing they can hope to do is that the Marabella, the Taruba Kokia seat is somehow they get it by a long shot. But at 48 votes, it's inside. If you tell me 15 votes, you tell me 3 votes, you tell me 10 votes, okay, fine, that's possible. But at 48 votes, no, man. For either side, it doesn't matter who is on which side. It doesn't matter. People couldn't have made such a huge error that they would have missed 48 votes in favor of the UNC or the PNM as the case may be. No.
Dr.
So,
Mohammed,
mhm.
I have a question, right? Why is it, or what causes people? I mean, you said they're not they're not satisfied with the alternatives, so that might be a reason for low voter turnout. Is there any way in the Constitution or a law that once you're of voting age, you have to vote?
No.
You can't do that.
It's a right. Vote to vote
Mm.
is your right. It's your
Mhm.
constitutional right to vote. If you choose to exercise that right or not, that's on you. That's your right also.
Now,
Mm.
So
Dr.
it's not like a dictatorship where you're forced to vote. You
Mm.
can choose to
Yeah,
vote
but
or
I
not
mean,
to vote.
without making it a force, like, offer an incentive. Okay, vote.
Well,
Some sort of
right.
incentive.
The
I don't know.
incentive
Mhm.
to vote is to inspire young people. So the
Yeah.
incentive to vote is to give young people to speak the language of young people, to be able to converse with young people and relate to them and understand what are their needs and wants. So let me give you an example. Did anybody bat an eyelid? Did any minister, any MP bat an eyelid, or you know, were they stirred by the fact that a 16-year-old girl committed suicide over the course of the weekend?
Mm.
No,
Mm.
they didn't. But I am concerned that a 16-year-old has committed suicide because I want to know what would have caused that 16-year-old to
And a
cause
prison
suicide.
officer too.
Right. But I am more concerned
Mm.
with regard to the prison officer. There are many things that that is surrounding why it's possible for an adult that may want to commit
Mm.
suicide. But you see, when children are committing suicide, we have a problem. And if
Mm.
nobody is paying attention to 16, 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds, 21-year-olds, and
Mm.
not paying attention to that grouping of young people as to what are the issues that are affecting them,
Mm.
then we have a problem in society.
Because it's
If you
only
don't, if you don't care,
50,000 more people voted in over the population of Barbados. Barbados is 250,000 at least, huh? Or a
right?
little more. And 50,000 more people voted in
Yeah.
Trinidad, 1 point something million. So I'm like, you know, I don't know, boy. Hmm.
But anyway,
But
Dr.
you will see them whining
Vonnie
and
says
jamming
Vonnie
though.
wants to know, would not want my opinion regarding Farley's new TPP. The TPP is a necessary entity. It's within his right for him to form because the PDP is a lost cause. Um, I think the PDP has cemented itself to it's relegated itself into a former political institution.
Oh boy.
Um,
What is that?
and
Political cemetery?
a political, yeah, I think we could put up
A
a
former
tombstone there.
political. Oh no.
You could put a tombstone there. Um,
Oh no.
and because nobody is going to pay attention to Duke after this, and Duke knows it very well. I heard him talk about today that municipal corporations should be responsible for all of the institutions within the corporation. So schools, hospitals, police stations, fire stations, and prisons. And I said to myself, okay, you clearly don't know what you're talking about.
So, Dr.
Right?
Shea, we're gonna go for a quick station identification. I know you gotta run out of here in another few minutes, but when we come back, we want to talk about the percentage that was allocated. Well, not allocated, the percentage that each party got, as well as, I mean, I don't see where people talking about the popular votes that the UNC get the popular votes and so on and so forth. Because to me, in different constituencies, there are different amount of people in those regional corporations.
Listen,
So,
yeah. Popular votes.
Mm.
Popular vote is important to populists.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Kamla Prasad Bisasa is a bona fide populist.
Okay. All right. So let's go for a quick break. We come back. We discuss that. It's in the village with the Dad Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. Of course, it's Diana, Ansem, Tommy, and you in the village, and we have with us, political scientists, well-known political scientists, big time political scientists
Oh
predicting
no.
elections in Trinidad.
Humble servant.
We'll be right back after this. Stick and stay.
You're listening to WZYE 95.9 FM. You are listening to WZYE 95.9 FM, the most influential name in Caribbean radio in the tri-state area. Broadcasting from East Orange, New Jersey, the most influential name in Caribbean radio, WZYE 95.9 FM.
Dr. Mohammed.
Yes, sir.
On WZYE 95.9 FM. We come there every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. That's Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. Let me bring in a next person that's no stranger to individuals with the Dad Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. As a matter of fact, I think, Dr. Mohammed, that Karen was a friend of the village before you became a friend of the village. I know we have both of you all who are splendiferous, tremendous, marvelous, fantastic, spectacular.
Mr. Shara, do not go and form no new political party. Wait till I call you.
Karen, welcome. How are you?
I'm fine. The only problem is the internet is down, so I can't see television on my computer. So I don't know why it's only working on my cell phone. So excuse me for that, but that's the best I can do. And good evening to everyone. Hello, Dr. Mohammed. I have no intention of holding any party. You're going to call me. And
We
of
go
course,
call
good evening to everyone. Of course, Ansem, yes, I am here before you, Dr. Mohammed. That's correct. You said it right, Diana. You know that is true. So
That's right.
I have a little bit of a challenge, but the show must go on. Yes.
Yes.
And he was hesitant at first to come in, like,
No,
but
no.
I used my Bajan twang and I got him to come in.
Oh, watch me. I can't say no to the village. And let me tell you, I did not. Earlier, when I tell earlier, I didn't bathe for the days. Only had 5
Oh my God.
I watched my father and I say, you realize I have been sitting in front of this laptop from the minute I got up this morning. I have not moved. I said, and I'm not boasting, but it's been a real busy day. And I said to him, I said, on top of that, I don't even think I eat. He said, boy, yeah, eat nothing. All you had was a cup of coffee. I said, okay. Okay, let me go and take a little break. Let me take a little lie down, rest the brain. Then I put on the news. I realized, oh God, I got a big story on TV6. It's Bacchanal again. And then when I watch the time, I say, all right.
Big story.
I chastised both the UNC and the PNM, and the Miss Tiwari Rupnarayan asked me who won, and I said nobody won. Both parties lost, as well as the Citizenry of Trinidad and Tobago lost.
Okay.
Yeah. I said at 30%, and what they've done, they've even interlocked the deadlock is even further locked in, and both parties have confirmed they are just simply the different sides of a 1 cent coin. And we know in Trinidad and Tobago, 1 cent has no value.
Not in Trinidad. 1% has plenty value.
1 cent. 1 cent. No, 1 cent.
No, 1%. No, 1 cent is 1% of 100. So the 1% has a lot of value in this country.
But do we have 1 cent in place still?
Well, if something costs $1, you don't have a cent. You can't pay for it.
This is your show, so don't let me try and ask any questions. You already want to ask the questions. But I didn't know that he was on the news. And so excuse me, Dr. Mohammed. Me may have a little different point of view, but go ahead, the host of the show, which I'm always happy to be on.
No, so Karen, what we were talking about, right? we're looking at the election and we're looking at the voter turnout, which was 300 total votes of 331,300, 996 were rejected. And we are also looking at the numbers that the PNM received, which was 130,868 votes, or 40%. The UNC received 173,961, or 53%, and the NTA received 15,997, 5%.
How much the MTA receive? Sorry, because I was trying to get that data, but I wasn't able to get it. But then
Right.
my computer was working.
15,997 votes for 5% of the overall votes.
Okay.
Which I think wasn't bad.
No.
Which I don't think was bad at all, right? And
Not at all.
so the question is, was this local election a referendum on Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley and Kamala Prasad Desessa?
You're asking me, or you're going to Dr. Then you're asking me?
Yes.
Okay, well, asking me, I'm going to have a little different take on the question as opposed to what Dr. Mohammed has said. Yes, the 2019 results are consistent with what we are seeing today with the 2023 results. In fact, the 7-7, we've seen a big difference. Though I would say some of the big differences would be that San Fernando is a city corporation, and while the numbers of persons residing in San Fernando, as opposed to one of the regional corporations, is not as much. As not as many. Nevertheless, San Fernando is considered a crown jewel in terms of the PNM stronghold. That is where Patrick Manning is from, and always been considered. Even though in the last election it was 6-3, 6 for the PNM, 3 for the UNC. This time it was 5-4. So I consider that to be a victory for them. I also consider the fact that it was very strategic. There were 141 electoral districts, and the PNM went for all 141. The UNC went for 131 because they recognize, and the record is there for anyone to see, that they can't win Port of Spain, not now anyhow. Point Fortin, Arima, and also Diego Martin. So having Gary Griffith with NTA challenging only in 10 electoral districts, 15,000 in 10 electoral districts, does amount to some significance, because initially I sort of, said maybe he was overstating, but to get over 15,000 in 10 electoral districts, that's not a bad showing. And when you look at the 30% turnout, last election it was 34%. So what would I say about a referendum? I think really, when I look at it, local government elections, one, is not the same thing as national elections. And on many levels, it's not. So can you look at that as a referendum? Had the results been different, and we've seen 8-6 and 8 for the UNC, I think it would really be very clear where we are going. The 7-7 is with the status quo. We can't read too much into that. But what people are concerned about more than anything else at the local level is the drainage. I was an MP before. The bridges, the roads, the maintenance of the villages. Those are the fields, the recreational fields, the lighting of the recreational fields, the delivery of water. That's what they really become very concerned about at the local level, and that's what you heard. So using the local elections to determine how people are going to look at the national issues is quite a different kettle of fish. Just by way of example, in my mind, the fact that Farley Augustine could say to you with his Tobago party, which he's just staying in Tobago, he's just fighting his 2 seats. Those 2 seats are very important to the PNM in the national elections, because those 2 seats can make the difference between who wins the elections, in the sense that where do those 2 seats go? Where would those 2 seats go? Because it could go either way. And the way that he is talking, certainly having the PNM or its PNM agents, from his point of view, searching his home and harassing on him and persecuting him and his family, doesn't look like they're going to be too minded to go the PNM way after that whitewash they got with the 14-1. But a day in politics is a lifetime. So to answer your question, is this a referendum? I'm not sure I could say that because on the national level, if I could just complete that thought, when we did when we had the 2019 local government elections, the UNC actually did better, not only in terms of numbers, the popular vote, they got 333,000, just as again, they got the popular vote again, but not only that, the councillors, the number of councillors, the PNM lost by some of the councillors by I think about 11 of them, while the UNC won 13 councillors. So 2019 now, you could just look at 2019. I think people looked at that and saying, well, when they call national elections, PNM in trouble. But guess what happened? COVID. And when you look at the, I think Nigel, can't remember his last name, but I'm sure Dr. Shane knows what I'm speaking about.
Yeah.
He does all his polling.
Yeah.
When they looked at the polling, the PNM did win both the popular vote and they won by a very slim majority, 29-12, I think, the national elections. But when you look at the five most critical issues, you think it will be crime, corruption, income inequality. Those will be at the top. You know what was at the top? 65% of the population in 2020 was concerned about COVID-19 because people were dying. Hundreds of people were dying almost on a daily basis. And they wanted a leader that they felt was strong and suited the period. So I don't know that looking at what happened in 2020 as opposed to what was indicated in 2019, given the COVID-19 coming in, no pun intended, I don't know if we could say that we should ignore these elections. I think that the UNC and its low turnout, 30%, you know who came out? The CPEP and URP workers, you know, it's them who came out. You know, they had to keep their work, right?
We talk all the time here.
You know, they have to keep their work.
Yeah.
Right? So
Right.
you know that is a good thing. So you can't even look at it 30% there because the UNC don't have that power. Whoever came out for the UNC was not CPEP and URP because they don't have that power. Right now they don't have the power of the purse. So I will say in conclusion to all that I've said, I think the PNM better has to look out. I don't know if NTA is the third force. You asked me about forming being part of Dr. Mohammed. I have already made that decision. So we shall see what we shall see.
So, Dr.
And
Mohammed,
it's not the UNC. And it's not the UNC. Oh God, I can't do that. I mean, they would lick me up and I wouldn't blame them. I would take me, man, I would mash me up if I went free. All due respect to Kamala and et cetera, et cetera.
Karen,
I
I
could
believe
never do that.
the party with H, right? Starts with a H, right?
Hope. Huh?
What's that?
Yes, hope. Yes, hope.
Yeah.
For honest government. And that's what the country wants. They want an honest government. They are tired. They are weary, bone weary of the level of deceit and dishonesty in all forms and fashion and lack of implementation and taking the population for fools. And that's why you find that the people have a sense of hopelessness and helplessness. They say, what's the point of coming out? And you know what? They're going to be punished. You see them people who vote? To be used Trinidad parlance, you see those people who voted? Let me tell you something. A large percentage of those people who voted are CPEP and URP workers or people who sitting on boards who have a benefit. I have learned that for sure. I could tell you that 100%. If I could find two people, that do that, I don't know what the proper grammar is, that do not have an agenda in their voting, well, I have fallen a lot. But hope is a different kettle of fish, and that's why I'm going to hope for honest government.
Dr. Shane, do you think you hear what Karen talked about with respect to if this local election is a referendum on, Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley and Kamala Prasad Bissessa? What do you say?
Well, you have to take it in the context of a referendum from what perspective? Because
the leadership.
Well, they both, as I said before, and I will stand by what I say. They both shown that they are they've equaled each other, and none is better than the other in the eyes of the population and those that have voted. But Mr. Shera is right that you have to look at the people who voted for the PNM and those who voted for the UNC. Those who voted for the PNM are the ones that are dependent on the PNM, right, at this point in time, and those that voted for the UNC, what they did with the introduction of Jack Warner back into the party, they just reignited the base and the bare base. I am talking when I talk about the bare base, I'm talking about the old school base. Because to be
Mhm.
quite honest with you, the more videos that I look at on election day of people going to vote were of the elderly level, right, for the UNC and for the PNM. So it's either they were the people who are dependent on the PNM for a daily living, or
Mhm.
the very bare base that say, "Oh God, well, she bring back Jack. She give us some hope that she could do something. So
No
we
pun
go nominated.
intended.
Yeah, so she could do something, right? But the truth is, when you are at 7-7 and you're at 70-71, you're literally deadlocked. You put the country in a position at this point in time where you really have to wonder what is to look forward to in 2025. And
Hmm.
you know, I actually, this is news for me. I did not know that Mr. Shera was going with hope. And I did not know that hope was legitimized as yet. I was still hoping that, we could have, there would be,
All these puns, Dr. Shane
of
Mohammed.
course, of course, of course, of course. Cannot be anything else but that.
But let me ask, Karen, who's the political leader of who?
It's Hannah Smith, no?
Timothy Hamilton, and that has a lot to do with my decision. But I didn't come here to talk about that because I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, we ain't coming to.
that is something that he needs to do and launch the party and so on.
All
But
right.
I just wanted to make sure that one understood that I was not jumping into the UNC. I mean, I'm not here to
I don't,
I'm
I
not
didn't
going to
think,
try to
I
assist
don't,
anyone
they
on
might have
either
wooed you.
side.
They might have tried
Huh?
to woo you. They might have tried to woo you.
Well, I heard that too, but I mean, you have to stand for something, right?
Of
And that's
course,
what
of
people
course.
don't
No, but they
feel that
did, and
people
I would
don't
never
stand for
support.
anything.
I don't think that the UNC is the place for you because they what they did do you is they demonized you, and I
But,
know that they
but the
demonized you.
PNM did that to me, and I was a member of them. I
Well,
mean,
true,
people
but
remind me of things that they said that I don't even remember. Those things, listen, those things do not matter to me, And that is what people have to understand. It does not matter to me. What matters to me is in our country. And that
but
is what matters to me. So if they
but
could say
our
what they
country,
want,
people remember the things that it may not matter to you, and it doesn't. I share your sentiment. Like if somebody's asking me, Vonnie's asking me if I've reconciled my differences with UNC. I have long, long, long removed myself from any inclination of the United National Congress and an association after I've put in all of the work that I've put in the last couple of years to bring myself to where I am today. Do you really think that I would do myself such an injustice to discredit my abilities by returning to the United National Congress? That's a house of commerce and bacchanal. And the house and yesterday, last night was just the glitz and glamour and the happy and the tassa and the music and the happiness that they didn't flop. When in the next couple of days after the recounts are over and the time comes for the allocation of aldermen, that's when you're going to see bacchanal taking place inside the UNC with regard to who getting an aldermanship or not. And then they're going to fight for chairmanship and deputy chairmanship and mayorship. And let me tell you something, it didn't even start now. It started even during the campaign. So they are thanking their lucky stars that they were able to survive. But I also believe that they were able to survive because Jack Warner brought a level of stability within the party that was, I mean, the evidence shows when Jack Warner walked out of the UNC in 2013, the party and the government started to collapse, right? Um, I give credit where it's due. Mr. Warner had a huge contribution to and made a huge contribution to Mrs. Prasad Bissasa's elevation to prime ministership and political leadership, and it was absolute ungratefulness on her part in 2013 when she took the advice of everybody else who were hiding while Mr. Warner was at the front line to fight Mr. Pandey for Mrs. Prasad Bissassa to get to where she is. But
Mm.
history always has a way of repeating itself, and karma comes back to you in some way. What I will say is that what I look forward to seeing is what is the role that Mr. Warner will play in the UNC going forward? And can Mrs. Prasad Bissessa really have the gravitas and the charisma and the magnanimity needed to really build the party into what it was before? And you know, it one of the things that she should be doing is forming alliances by, I mean, Hope was part, everybody who is in Hope, that I know that is in Hope, was once part of her administration or held an
Not
office
me.
within, well, not you, but not you, but I
Not
mean,
me.
Karen is new.
there are
Karen is
some,
new. Karen is pretty new.
there are some very good men inside of Hope that still has a contribution to make to the development of our country.
But
I, wa-
let's get back.
I,
Let's get
wa- I
back
want
to
to, I want to say something to all that you have said, which, I know we don't take it the wrong way. I'll go first to make this first comment. Where we said we did, I think we did agree that when you see the very low turnout in any event, both on both sides, but in the case of the PNM, I think one could reasonably conclude a lot of the persons that came out would have been people who are dependent on the purse of the PNM, who are controlling the purse right now, and they are CPEP, URP workers, people sitting on board, people who whatever their position to them. And why do I say that? The internal elections, I'm going to use that as a good for me as an example of why I say that.
Mm-hmm.
When I was asked to challenge the for the leadership, what is noteworthy? I don't know if I said this on this show already. I was in cinema with my grandchildren, and this man left his seat. The show had not started as yet, and came up to me and said loser. I didn't hear him properly. I said loser. I said, is that what you just said? I said, you want to know what is losing? I'll tell you what is losing. When Penny Beckers challenged the Prime Minister, he was then opposition leader for the leadership of the PNM, and the membership was 90,000. And I think he got about 15,000 votes. And then when we had the challenge last year, those votes ran out, disappeared, because all he was able to do was
Froze.
Frozen.
so folks. That's the internet. We're gonna
Mhm.
all right. So we're gonna wait for
trust
Karen.
me, because okay, apart from losing the 7,000 votes, you increase your membership by 30,000. So where are they? You had the election over 3 days. You mean your prime minister in your own constituency got 144 people to come out, and on the day of the convention, only 844 people voted. You know who was voted? It's
Mm.
CPEP and URP workers. So I am going to say to you that the election results, the local government election results, I will have to disagree with Dr. Mohammed from this point of view. I think if we have to look at the numbers and analyze the numbers on the PNM side has much to do with the CPEP and URP as, as opposed to the UNC, where you had the base coming out, and as you
Yeah,
say, the older generation coming out.
Mhm.
So
yeah.
I think it's a two different, and the level of hopelessness and helplessness and numbness that this country experience. You cannot. There's a lack of confidence and trust. And I
I
have to
agree.
say, Dr. Mohammed, I have to say, Dr. Mohammed, all due respect to you, this is probably why I'm probably not such a good politician, because and I don't want to come and speaking Kamala and UN. I don't want to go down that road. But when you allow Anil back in that party, when you allow Anil with all of the bacchanal and nastiness with when Anil back in your party, perception, when you allow him back in the party to be a frontliner, when you cannot bring back in Anand, when you fire Gary, when you had to fire Volney, when you had to start with Mary Kim because she made the mistake to say, Kamala said it was okay to give her husband company the job. Every Sunday, without fail, I took up the Express, and there was never a story that didn't say that she had to fire a minister. And you know why she had to fire the minister? Not because she took it upon her good self to do the right thing. She did it because it came out in the media. I don't know of one instance where she did the right thing based on doing the right thing. She did it under pressure. And when she got rid of Jack, who you are singing his praises. Jack, the only reason she had to get rid of Jack because on an international level, he cannot leave Trinidad and go to. I don't have anything against Jack, but I am not going to support a party based on if that party could win. I am going to support a party for what it stands for. And based on the UNC track record, if I am supposed to, and I like Anna, I think he's a very bright guy, but you cannot tell me with that track record, including Gary, they're looking at it, you hardly have anybody, maybe a few good men inside that are inside that I have a lot of have respect for. But Kamala was surrounded, and she had to buy about 20. I used to follow it,
It was 20.
She had 20 ministers, and
20 ministers.
Exactly, and every single one. She never took the initiative. It was because the media bust the story, and then under pressure. How vexed she was when she had to get rid of Anna. When she had to get rid of Anna, so she punished Gary. She said, "You make me get rid of Anna, I'll punish you for that."
That's true. That's very
and
true.
That's right. But okay, Dr. Mohammed. So I don't know how you could be talking about how and I have nothing against Jacqueline personally, don't misunderstand me. But what is politics in this country about then? If it is about power and position rather than the interests of the people. Because if
I am not.
she had to
I am
fire
not.
20
I am not
people,
disputing that. I'm
yes,
not
so
disputing
how you
that.
could even be singing Jack Warner praises? I can't
No,
understand that.
no. I'm singing Jack Warner's praises because I'm saying we cannot discredit the role he played prior to all of the revelations and the role that he played. Because let me tell you, Kamala also fired Jack under pressure. But it was not only because of what was going on internationally, it was what was also going on inside her own party. And like the other day, she talked about, and I think, answer me, I brought that topic here. When she made a statement on the platform about, when she talked about Dr. Rowley and the web that he weaved. And I said, but she's the last person to be talking about any web that was weaved because she weaved her own web of deception as well, to the point that up to this day she can't untangle herself. Because let me tell you something, even though, I'm glad you talk about Anna Ramlogan, and you know very well that Gary was collateral damage for Anna Ramlogan getting fired, so he said, you have to
She
take
was
out
so
two of them. Right?
She was vexed. That
She was
woman
vexed,
was vexed. When
right?
she had to say, I have to get rid of Anna, but I'm going to fire you
Boss
too.
not talk to you, right?
What kind
But
of
you want to
party
know
is that?
something? I am
What kind
giving
of
Jack.
party is that?
I am giving it's not a party, no. It's a woman that does not have a conscience,
No,
and
but
she's a
stop talking
grateful
about
lady.
her alone. It's not fair to just bring it about her. You know why I would say you're not being fair
You know why
about
I
her?
say I am? The buck stops with the leadership.
I agree.
Yes, but what I am saying to you is this: that if you could sit down inside of there, if you could sit down, if you want to say, okay, you want to say Kamala, if you could sit down there and be part of a cabinet and be part of the where you know more than I know. But I know enough to know that she fired 20 people
She
under
did.
pressure. How you could sit down inside there and feel comfortable? Why you think I'm not in the PNM now? I could
Because
not. I'm telling
but
you
I
the
not there.
absolute truth.
I cast it up.
Yeah, but
That's
I'm
what I was
telling
telling
you what I'm trying to tell you. If that is half of what's wrong with the politics of our country, because not make a determination about a party based on and you're talking about leadership. Let me tell you something. With Dr. Rowley, well, I believe, and I think a lot of people do believe, he is there at the behest. Let's put it this way. When he goes, he's not going to leave nature abhors a vacuum. He's not leaving a vacuum because whoever return on investment, they want to make sure that the leadership that he put in place, which he already has, a lot of that, I believe, stays right where they are. I don't know if that's true about Kamala. If Kamala is removed, I don't know if she has the power to be able to control the party. I feel
Nah.
if they removed her and somebody like Kevin Ramnarine took over, I feel that the UNC can be a party that can be saved. When it comes to the current PNM, this is my respectful opinion, and I'm not saying it's lightly, that when the prime minister leadership moves, things are going to be put in place as they already are, in my view, to ensure the continuation, that whoever supports the PNM in the background make sure that that support remains intact. So
I
Rowley
agree with
going
you on
is
that.
not going right. So Rowley's going. When you talk about leadership, Rowley going is not the same thing as Kamala going, because when Rowley goes, you're going to best believe he makes sure Mariano Brown cannot be inside of there. He makes
Agreed.
sure Karen Sarah can. I don't want to be inside of there
I
with the kind of
agree there.
line up
I
there.
agree
Okay, well, good.
100%
I'm
with
glad
you.
we agree on that.
We agree on that. I agree on that. And I'll tell you, I agree because I also agree with you that one, I also think that Kamala has cemented herself. She has surrounded herself with certain people. I I'm telling you, I don't have the belly that Jack have to go and sit down inside of there. I don't know how he could go back inside sit down inside of there with them people, right? But and I will never make that mistake to go back there and sit down with them people because it's a whole different culture altogether that she's created. A whole subculture of what was she damaged the institution that existed, right? But the point is we really and truly have to do something magnanimous to capture the minds of our population, to
Mm.
get them to swing away from the base of the and that traditional PNM versus UNC thinking. And as I told somebody, I told some young people today, I said it as well yes, I said it on WESN. Time is of the
He's so
essence.
busy, busy, busy.
Yeah, time is of the essence, right? Time is of the essence. Time is not on our side. And you
But
see when the PDP put it, not the PDP, the TPP is putting their house in order in Tobago. They know they're ready,
mhm,
as you rightfully say. They know the value of those two seats, and they're going to do
they
the
know the
slap.
value.
Yeah, they do, and they're going and put themselves in
Mm.
place with regard to to
And, and,
organizing that.
and, and I want to say this, Dr. Man, because I don't want this message to be lost in all of what we're discussing. One, yes, Augustine is very strategic.
Yes.
He's not spreading himself thin. He
Now,
say he doing like what he has example of Ian Robinson to follow on, and even calling his party Tobago something,
people's
but we
party.
calling it right Tobago People's Party. So he not mixing matters that
Now,
only dealing with Tobago, right?
yes,
He not
yes,
mixing matters because
yes.
all he knows is if he wins those two seats,
You have
PNM
a
in trouble.
space.
That's the
Yeah,
first
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Okay, that's
yeah,
the first point. And
yeah.
so he's a smart guy. But the second point I want to make, and I do not want this point to be lost, and I want it to be clear. We keep, not only you, everybody talks about the change of leadership. I want to make this point as clearly as I can. If Kamala is removed, or however she is removed, she is removed, it will be a new dawn of a day for the UNC. Because if you get someone like Kevin Ramnarine, who I believe would like to be there, that I like him very much, I have a lot of respect for him. If you get a Kevin Ramnarine, I know I'm not a supporter, I support in Hope, but I'm just trying to be a commentator rather and try to be objective. If you get a Kevin Ramnarine, because she's old, then Kevin is in his 50s, he just have to wait out. How long she wanna stay there? How
For
long
real,
she can hold on? She
for
have
real.
to let go sometimes, and time is not on her side. Time is on his side. And I am saying, if you get that change, you will see the rebirth of a new UNC. That is what I'm saying. Now,
I agree with you on
with
that, you
it,
know.
okay, so this is my point. This is the point. So you see, I said, so I made the point about the leadership of the PNM, I mean of the UNC. She's getting old. People can wait her out. Time is not on her side. And if you get the right person, you will see a rebirth of the UNC. On the PNM side, this is my considered, respectful opinion, which I do not think is wrong, having been in the belly of the beast, so to speak, and understanding it and understanding many of the players. If the leadership of the PNM is not Keith Rowley,
No,
the leadership of the PNM is outside of the party.
I
They
agree
have
with you
made
on
that
that too.
right. So they have made an investment. They're
Yes.
not invested in Rowley. They're invested
No.
in Rowley putting in place the people who will do whatever they consider is in their interest.
I agree
Therefore,
with you.
Rowley knows that when he leaves, when he has to leave,
The
because he holds two
continuity
like Tamara,
continues. Business
when he
continues.
leaves, when he leaves, he is going to make sure that those who are in the inner circle remain in the inner circle, not because he cares so much, that's my opinion, because those who can really control the party in the outside will make sure that he does not leave without making sure that that is
They're
done, because
fixed.
he is beholden to them for whatever
Agreed.
reason. And
Agreed.
therefore, there is a big difference between comparing the change in leadership of the PNM and the UNC. The UNC can be reborn. The PNM, as long as Rowley is there and he has the people in the back who really pulling his strings, they're not going to let him leave there. And he will not leave there unless he puts in place. He'll make sure certain, you know how much that I'm inside, I don't say anything. How much did you ever realize how many of his cabinet ministers have nothing to say? I know
Zip.
some of them. No, they don't call me,
Zip.
and I don't call them. They can't talk because they're afraid to lose a job. And they
Yes.
also, and not
Yes.
only afraid to use a job, they are also ambitious and they're
Yes.
young and they're
Yes.
waiting him out. And when they're
Yes.
waiting him out, they're hoping, but Rowley smarter than them.
He
If they
done
think
put things
Rowley
in
in
place
politics
already.
for 30, you know, between Rowley and Colin in Booth, it's about 100 years of political experience there, you know. Right? So let me tell you something. You know what I'm trying to tell you, Dr. Mohammed? You think that Dr. Rowley is going to leave there, or his people who sitting down in the background calling the shots, going to allow him to walk out without making sure that things go on as per usual? You think that
Nope.
they're going to allow that to happen?
Nope.
That's
Nope.
why
Nope.
the
Nope. Nope.
PNF, that's why I had to leave. That's why I had to leave.
I
Karen,
agree with you.
Karen,
Before
the
I
statement.
go,
Karen,
Anselm, let me
yeah,
just because I have
Yeah.
okay.
You have another one.
Sarah,
Yeah, you haven't had a chance to bathe or eat, but you must take a
I
chance to bathe and eat.
I
Huh?
bathe and I eat, but I
Okay,
have to
but
go do a
all right, all
workshop
right, all
now.
right. But tell me what
I
you
go
think
do a
of what I
workshop.
said, though. I
No,
want
but
your
I
opinion on
want
what I
to
said.
say something to Karen
No,
too.
not at all.
Karen,
Ah,
I actually wanted to say something to Karen too with that
And before
statement
I
because
go, I just want to answer
good.
Darren Red. Um,
right.
I am I am much better off without the UNC. I have no intentions of coming there. You all struggle and fight up with each other and hope that you all can survive. Because let me tell you something, as Miss
No, but I'm
Nunez-Tesheira
talking about the
rightfully say,
analysis that I gave about the
No, no, you
leadership.
were just answering somebody in the chat, Karen. We'll
yeah,
get back to you.
as Miss Nunez-Tesheira said, the PNM has their house in order, because there's a succession plan and a plan in place when Raleigh roll out. I am too
And he's
sure all
part
your
of
kids
that planning. And he better know he has
exactly.
to do it because
Ex-
he's to be beholden to them.
But
well,
Karen, I want to ask something just before you go, Dr. Mohammed. I want to ask something because Karen, your statement that you
Mhm.
just made me very depressed, and here's why. Because
It's not true,
people
though.
who vote for the PNM look like me, and them as poor black disadvantaged people. So
And
you mean to say,
no, Anselm.
and
No.
sad.
No,
let me finish
Anselm.
this.
Let me you don't
We have at least 26% of black people in Trinidad and Tobago living below the poverty line. This is not I make this up. This is statistics. So that means to say,
And
if
they're still voting for them.
right, that's what I'm saying. If there's a successor that Dr. Rowley is bringing, right, that means to say them all them people voting for them,
Look,
them don't care for them.
no. It's a team. You don't understand what's going on. I'm telling you that. No, I don't have any inside information, because I'm not on inside and I do ask people, but I was inside there and I know the players and I understand politics. I think I understand it good enough. He has a team there. He has a team ready and he has to make sure that that team is intact because the return on investment of those who are quietly in the background and pulling his strings, to whom he is beholden on whatever level that may be, and those who are going to be continue to be in the form the what you call the critical mass. They are making sure that that remains intact. That is what they do. That is what they're making sure about. You don't understand that what's going on. Dr. Rowley wants to go and play his golf.
correct.
Dr. Rowley wants to play golf,
And
and
golf is
Rowley,
necessary. Golf is necessary. Golf is a necessary thing that has to happen.
He has to play his golf. But
Correct.
what he knows is that he understands the party. He understands, listen, if let me just tell you something as a PNM, and this I could say for sure. When Mr. Manning in elections in 2010, he was not going to put back Dr. Rowley.
No.
A matter of fact, let me put it this way: he was wanted him not put him back, and others. Another one, you could guess who it could be. Because, but I won't call names. You can figure it out. And
Right.
pressure was put on him.
It's a male, right? It's a male, right?
Well, you figure it out. And just think of what power inside there. And he wanted to, and I'm telling you, I'm not asking you because he would have spoken to me. I had a good relationship with him. I ain't saying anybody who vertically challenged. You don't get me in that story. I don't know about anything like that. But what I'm trying to tell you is that was a mistake he made because they warned him. The only way that with all let me just put it this way. The only way Dr. Rowley could have become Prime Minister is the PNM had to lose the 2010. Now, why Mr. Manning for election? God, I do not know. But what I can tell is the only way that Dr. Rowley could have become Prime Minister is if we lost the election. Because I could tell you for sure, if we had won, Dr. Rowley would not have gotten a seat. When you don't have a seat, you don't, like they talk about lottery. If you don't take a chance, you don't win. Once they take him out, he'll become not from his own party.
Agreed.
You don't understand that's how it goes. Where's Mariano?
I
mean, Mariano hasn't told me anything, by the way.
No, you're right. Where is Mariano? I agree with you.
Mariano is not to be inside that part because anybody, and by the way, anybody, in my respectful opinion, that he saw as a threat to him, like Amy Brown, he's sent in Brazil. He's sent in Brazil, and he tell him, cool your heels in Brazil.
So Karen.
Right, Penny, he sent on United Nations. You're right. So you don't understand politics. You don't understand. Dr. Rowley not doing this by chance, So I am telling you, when Dr. Rowley leaves, he is not leaving without putting in place a successorship group because he is beholden not to the party for those outside the party who are calling the shots. If they get rid of Kamala and they bring in it has a different story. Just like what you did to Pandu.
I have to take my leave, but I enjoying this.
I just want to say, Dr. Mohammed, do you agree with my analysis?
You have it down. In fact, before you came in, it's the same conversation I was having with Tommy and Anselm and Diana about what I observed yesterday. And behind closed doors, Anselm could share it with you. Anselm, you wanted to ask me something before I go?
No, I just want to say, any closing words before you go because
the election is over. The election is over. Let's see what happens next. In this thing, as Mrs. Teixeira said, she's right. A day in politics is a lifetime.
Dr. Mohammed, your hair looking like mine,
Dr. Mohammed, can I tell you something? Dr. Mohammed, can I tell you something?
Yes, ma'am.
And I don't want you to take it the wrong way because I really didn't know you before. But a lot of times when I meet people who have been involved in parties, sometimes the hurt that they feel or the anger or the disrespect, and they won't come out and say it because it's all happened within the party, and you don't want to be sued for defamation and all the kind of thing. But it goes deep. It goes very deep, and because it goes very deep, it makes them unable, in my respectful opinion, to see the bigger picture, the national interest. So don't say you won't go back in UNC. Say you won't go back in UNC under the current leadership. If there's a reform UNC, you can't say that. Look what happened to the PNM in 33-3. Ever seen licks like that?
Just reached Dr. Ragoonath going and bet that I will go back. That's the conversation.
So I'm not saying you are going back, but do not say that you will not go back, because I think a lot of your reasoning behind it, just from listening to you today, has a lot to do with a lot of hurt and a lot of whatever anguish you have gone through. So I believe that if you have the interest of the countries at heart and you think that there is a reformed UNC to which you can contribute I feel you should not close that door. But at this point, it's shut, but the key not locked.
So, Karen, let me ask the question.
take
If
that.
there's a reform PNM, you could go back to the PNM?
But it can't.
Ooh.
Well, okay, but that okay. Let me
Right.
answer this.
Let me take
That's
my
a
leave.
fair. That's a
Dr.
very
Ragoonath will
fair
take over.
question.
I have
That's
to
a
go,
very very fair question. I think the difference with
and so I'm
all
taking my leave.
Wait. All
okay,
right.
uh,
So, Karen, hold
Dr.
on.
Ahmed was really nice talking to you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all
Same
right.
here, Miss
Good
Michelle.
night.
Same here.
Chill.
Let
Good
Dr.
night.
Ragoonath take
Good
over
night.
now. I'm
Everybody.
gone.
We getting
Yeah, let me just answer this very quickly. And I have to go this now, you know, because
All right,
I also have to bathe and dress for tomorrow morning.
all
But
right.
let me just say this very quickly. He asked me if I would go back.
Yeah.
I will say the difference for me in relation to the as much as we would want to pa- um, peddle a different story, but they can't. There's no proof of that. I am not wealthy, but I certainly not cup in hand.
Mm.
I'm educated. I have written 3 textbooks. I think I have the respect of a lot of people, whether for whatever reason, and therefore there is no need for me to um, and I have not had any word with the Prime Minister ever. Ever. Whatever he has said has been said on the hustings, which I don't even listen to. So I don't have any personal thing against the Prime Minister. In fact, I have told people honestly that I could understand why he wanted to be Prime Minister because I kept out of his bacchanal with him and Mr. Manning, and that was not my business. But I understood if I were in his position, being made a backbencher, and whether rightly or wrongly that was happened, and be whatever went through in Parliament and reaching, but whatever was said. He's a human being, and I am telling you, if it was the last breath I had, I think if I were Dr. Rowley, I'd say, you see me, I'm gonna make sure I become Prime Minister. The unfortunate thing about that, I feel that is where it began and that's where it ended. That was his objective. He achieved his objective. And having achieved his objective, he wanted to go and play golf. And because he is beholden to, in my view, for whatever reason, for his being, whatever the reasons are, which I don't want to get in any trouble with anybody, I would just say that he has to maintain the status quo. I don't have that anger and bitterness against anybody. There's no anger and bitterness against Dr. Rowley. I was invited to his wedding. I worked with his wife. I have never had any exchange of words to my knowledge personally with him. If I have ever met him, I have nothing against Dr. Rowley personally in a fight, and I keep out in the politics because I know enough of it is that those who are senators frightened to lose their work. Because once he moved them, that's not even the independent one. I don't know independent, yeah, but I can't say anything because I don't want to besmirch the name of the current president. So I will stay with the 16 appointed by the Prime Minister. Tomorrow morning, you wake up, the Constitution allows him to do that. It allows him to say, out you go, somebody else. So if you want to keep your position and you want to keep your driver and you get seduced by power and the whatever it is, you're going to keep yourself quiet. And then those who are in the cabinet, also, there will be those who are young enough who understandably, and you cannot blame them for wanting to have the ambition to be prime minister. Maybe they think they can make a big difference, and they know that if they stood up against Rowley, they would find themselves in the position of Robert Luhant out of the cabinet.
But
So they
Karen,
know they have to sit down there and stay quiet.
I
That's what
want to
I
say,
think. No.
yeah, I want to say something. Yeah, Karen,
Yeah.
you give me a nice political answer there. You dance me around, the balize. You, you take me around the balize, Karen.
You what you call that? Circumlocution.
Yeah. Take me around the balize, man, and you bring me to the back door, and you take me to Dr. Rowley and the golf court, all kind of thing, and you still and tell me if you could go back to the PNM.
Well, you see, just like I said to Dr. Mohammed,
Uh,
I don't think the circumstances of the PNM are not the circumstances of Dr. Williams'
What
Dr.
leadership change?
Mr. Manning. I think it's a change party.
What about if the
So I
leadership
can't see
change?
it happening, you know.
Okay, all right.
I can't see it happening, but I don't have any axe or grime with anybody. But I know that going that PNM is not good for the country. That's what I think.
The RPNM. The
Yeah?
RPNM, right?
No, but the R, you say the R, I said to Dr. Mohammed, and I wanted that point to be made. Do not make the mistake, in my respectful opinion, to say the RPNM is the same as the K, not K for Karen, the K for Kamala, UNC. Because if Kamala is out, she old, and if they propping her up, if
But
Kamala and
both of
Kamala
them the same
go,
age, Karen? Around the same age? They're both of them around the
I
same
know,
age?
yes, but what I'm trying to tell you is that they propping her up, in my opinion. And once she's gone, that's it. That's it. All of them who was outside can run back in. Now Rowley not going to allow that to happen. He is not going to allow that to happen because he's putting things in place, because he has to put things in place to ensure that the status quo remains in place. That's my opinion.
All right. So let me bring in Karen. Have you ever been on? This is another friend of WZYE 95. A great friend, another fantabulous, splendiferous, marvelous, fantastic, spectacular friend.
One of
I
those
got jealous, huh? I got jealous. So you tell me them same thing. You tell me them same thing, or you're telling Dr. Ragoonath the same thing. I getting vexed now, eh?
And Dr. Ragoonath is sitting down there, and you're hearing the discussion. The discussion actually started with the local government election results, where we see that it's a 7-7 tie again. And I initially asked the question if this election, local government election, is a referendum on the leadership of Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley and Kamala Prasad-Bissessar. So I want to throw the same question to you. I already asked Dr. Shane Mohammed, and I asked Karen or as well the same question. In your estimation, do you believe that this results of another 7-7 tie is a referendum on the political leadership of Mrs. Kamala Prasad-Bissessar of the UNC, as well as Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley of the PNM? What do you say?
It is more of a case with Keith Rowley rather than Kamala Prasad-Bissessar. And I say that from the point of view that Kamala Prasad-Bissessar is going to claim victory. The mere fact that the UNC was able to make inroads into so-called PNM territory, that is a victory for her, and that is going to propel her support base, the same ones that Ms. Nunez-Tesheira is saying is propping her up. They are going to continue now and even prop her up further to say, take us into the 2025 general elections. My concern with Kamala Prasad-Bissessar is I don't think she has the energy and she's healthy enough to take the party into a 2025 general election. Having said that, however, I will say that this election result is giving her a bounce to continue to stay in the leadership, as opposed to Keith Rowley, who I would have thought that when he had announced in 2018, 2019, that he will give up power at the end of that term, and then he came back on and says, well, I'll take it for the next term. I think his defeat in Tobago, plus what has transpired here, because clearly Keith Rowley made a very telling statement. He said we did better than we expected. In saying that, he expected to lose an election. So he expected to lose yet another election. And whereas the PNM will not necessarily push him out, they will, however, start telling or looking at their succession planning as a replacement for him come 2025. He has already anointed, if I may say that, certain people in the party who, and I agree with Karen Nunez-Tesheira, that he is setting in place things to maintain the status quo that he wants, and not allow a free fall after he demits the leadership of the party. Kamla Prasad Biswas, on the other hand, has not set up that sort of succession planning strategy for the UNC. And if she demits office as leader for whatever reason, health or otherwise, tomorrow, all of the people, and I agree totally with Karen Nunez-Tesheira, people like she and Mohammed and all of them will find themselves back into the UNC. In fact, last night, as we were leaving the television studio, I told Shane, I said, we talking about, if tomorrow UNC call you back, you go in.
Well, nothing wrong with that, Nothing wrong with him doing that, but we have to part company on this. I think we agree on and I don't want to, I don't like to go into personality, and I really try not to do that. I really try to stay away from that. But she looks very frail. She looks very frail, and she's not getting any younger. And so I think there are a lot of younger members. I call Kevin Ramnarai name as one that I think is a good successor and will get support because he has crossover appeal, which is what she had and which is what Pandey had.
And the people call Munilal? And the people calling his name
Munilal doesn't have crossover appeal. Munilal has appeal down in Debe and down where he is in the heartland. We have to be realistic about politics. I don't think he has that appeal. I might be wrong. Among the Valsain and the St. James and the other, which is what Kamla, and also too, I think people who are not Indo-Trinidadians would be afraid of him because he comes across very Indo-centric in the way he presents them. Whether that is so or not, he comes across so. Kamla does not, and that is part of the reason why she has succeeded and continues to succeed because she has that crossover appeal. So I will say this. They are propping her up because it suits whoever it is within the party to have her propped up because when she goes, a lot of them will have to go too. And they don't want that to happen. But when it comes to Rowley, I think you got it wrong. And I think I could take a little bit of a certain amount of leeway with regards to the party, PNM and Dr. Rowley and the key members inside who are there. And my knowledge is I can't share because I don't want to get in. I don't want nobody suing me or worse. But what I am absolutely confident about, Dr. Rowley wants to go home. He achieved what he wanted to achieve. He said, Patrick Manning, you put me as a backbencher. You treated me like that. I'm going to show you I'm going to be Prime Minister. So he achieved what he wanted, which is why he said he was going, I think. However, there are those who will not let him go. And they are not going to let him go because he serves a very critical objective for them. With him being there, he has to make sure that within the party ranks, you do not have anyone there that he feels will be a threat. So he has to create a Chinese wall, so to speak, and make sure that when he departs, in consultation with whoever is in the background, that the party is set up in such a way that that successorship that I'm speaking about will be a continuation of what Rowley is doing because he has his instructions. And that is my absolute confident opinion. Absolute confident opinion. I'm not asking you, I'm telling you that is my confident opinion. No, I am unshakable on that. Unshakable on that. And it is because that I believe that is to be the case that you will find that talking about Rowley leaving is not the same thing as talking about Kamla leaving. Rowley is no fool. One thing about him, he's a good politician. He is not going to let You think, and I keep talking about Mariano. It's not because you see Mariano, I mean, he was my minister in, although you say because he was the minister of, which is a whole story by itself. But the reality was, Mariano is personable. Mariano is brilliant. He's a national scholar, by the way. Mariano is articulate. And if Mariano cannot be inside there, because I think he's seen as a threat. And anybody who wants to feel that they're going to threaten this status quo, that he has to leave in place because he has to take his instructions from outside. That's what I'm trying to say to you. He's
All right. The internet went. So what we're gonna do? Dr. Ragoonath, stay with us. So internet just left. Stay with us. We're gonna go for station identification and we'll be right back. And we're gonna address that when we come back. So stick on stage. It's in the village with the Dat Triplets and WZYE 95.9 FM. Of course, we're having a spirited discussion tonight. Okay. Yeah. Okay, hold on. Hello,
I
Karen.
don't know. I told you that my I don't have what you call it, internet on my computer
so you
or
are
my
on
television,
here. You are still
and I
on
paid
here.
my bills.
Yeah, you
right,
are.
as I wouldn't be able to talk to people.
All right. You are
Right,
still
so
on air.
I need to pay my bills.
You are on
okay?
air. You are on air. You are on air.
I'm on here. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm just telling you that the reason I'm having this struggle is because I do have internet. So you cannot.
So Karen,
and
hold 1 minute. Karen, hold 1 minute. Hold 1 minute.
What
Karen, just hold 1 minute. We got to go for a quick station identification. Hold 1 minute. 1 minute. We're going to go for a quick station identification.
Yeah, but I can't come out for long.
No, I know that.
Anymore.
I know that. Hold on. It's in the village to the Dat Triplets on WZYE. We'll be right back.
You're listening to WZYE 95.9 FM. You are listening to WZYE LP 95.9 FM. The most influential name in Caribbean radio in the tri-state area. Broadcasting from East Orange, New Jersey. The most influential name in Caribbean radio. WZYE 95.9 FM.
It's in the village with the Dat Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. We come there every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. That's Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. So you can continue, Karen. You can finish up.
So yeah, I guess let me just finish. So Dr. Ragoonath and I will have to part company when we talk about the leadership, as if Rowley leadership is the same as Campbell's leadership. It's not the same. And Dr. Rowley is far too smart and far too beholden to whoever. Because I don't want to say more than that, because I don't want anybody. I have to be careful. But I'm just trying to say to you that he is not going to leave, and Colin has to go too. Or Colin not young either, right? and right, so Colin have to go too. So they have to put in place people who will continue the status quo, whatever that status quo is. That he has, that you just talk about 26% of black people living under the poverty line, right? For whatever reason that is the thing which I am not going to go into. It has to continue, and if the only way it can continue, they are not letting him walk away without that. Whoever they are not letting him walk away without putting in place. Like a company has a life of its own, it's a legal person on its own right, and it continues in perpetuity until you close it down. That's what Rowley is. He is the company, and he has to keep that successorship plan in place, because he cannot leave unless that is done. And I am pretty confident about what I am saying. And because of that, when people ask me why I left the PNM, I cannot be part of that, I cannot be part of Brent Thomas. I cannot be part of Earl Christopher not going to the parliament. I cannot be part of the local government that the Privy Council had to pull you up and tell you that this is a democratic republic, and it is not for the government to make a change. This is for parliament. I cannot be part of a government. I don't know. I don't like Gary Griffith, but I cannot be part of a government that the president apparently appeared to be taking instructions from the prime minister, because she said after the list was given to her, apparently was withdrawn. I cannot be part of a government where you have a DPP suffering with 57 attorneys when he's 134. And he's telling you he has security concerns about going in that building. And the government paying that rent for 4 years. I don't know to who they're paying it to. but he is saying he cannot go there. I cannot be part of a government where the SORT that they started, they had to shut it down because the United States said too many extrajudicial killings. I cannot be part of a government when the procurement legislation has been totally emasculated. I cannot be part of a government, but because with the property tax, with the way he's still in Parliament, the one time he ever said anything to me, which I was taken aback, when he said to me, "Stop telling the people it's about transformation and changing things and making things more modernized. It is about collecting money." It was not that, and he knew that wasn't. I cannot be part of a government that has taken the revenue authority and introduced a deputy of enforcement that is not part of the revenue authority's control, but is still answerable to the public service. Why? I cannot be part of a government where the Gambling Commission Authority, you cannot walk into one of those gambling casinos if they don't allow you, and you have to go and get a warrant to get in there, by which time whatever they don't want you to see, they get rid of it. There's too many back to back to back to back. The state of emergency in November, when the highest number of deaths, as I remember, from COVID, when they changed state of emergency to include to be included as a state of emergency. When he had to be fighting an election in December in Tobago, he brought the state of emergency, and when the death rate was about the highest, and the reason you called it was not because of civic unrest, because of an epidemic. I cannot be part of a government where you have a crime rate that is going right through the window, where you have scanners. You had the poor lady going to the judicial joint select committee and telling them that the scanner's not working for months. And then you're talking about how much guns coming in the country. You don't know that? How much guns coming in the country? How much drugs coming in the country? I cannot be part of a government when you know very well the Venezuelans through Colombia coming in this country with and you know they're involved in drugs. Every 2 weeks you have to read about the Venezuelans. What they're doing in the country? What are they doing? They are the ones that started the Petro-Caribe to mash up CARICOM. And that's when Mr. Manning started the Petro Fund. And that Dr. Ida Gonzalez. But he got his first $100 million to start. The first set of money he got for his airport came from the Petro Fund that Mr. Manning started to counter the effect of Petro-Caribe in Venezuela, who's not a member of CARICOM. I cannot be a member of a government where you have Guyana, which is an English CARICOM country, taking Venezuela to the International Court of Justice because they will not honor the arbitral award of 1899 to try to get 2/3 of the land space of Guyana, a CARICOM country. I cannot be part of that government.
Aaron, I want to say to you, it's always a pleasure. You always give us quite a bit whenever you come into the village, and we call on you so in short space of time, and you always show up on time. Is there anything else before you go?
Well, I told you why. I told you two things. To Dr. Ragoonath, Kamala, and Rowley think two different things. When Rowley leaves, he has to put things in place. He has to have real success. He has to continue like it was a company, right? So I am confident about that. Number one. Number two, I cannot sit down and be part of. I respected Mr. Manning. I respect Mr. Manning, contrary to what people may think. With the CL Financial, by the way, which I have never recognized. I had to read the Court of Appeal decision where they had to say, were it not for that MOU, that Rowley arrangement with Coleman would billions of dollars, that agreement, that sale agreement would stand up. The Court of Appeal said that, not me, is the Court of Appeal. And I gave a witness statement in the High Court because it's for my country. So I am going to tell you in closing, the reason why I am not in the PNM, I do not. If I wanted, I have asked them for nothing. Nothing I have asked them for. I'm considered I ask them for anything. I ask them for nothing. I want nothing from them, right? And thank God for Jesus that I don't have to go to them begging thank God for Jesus that I have a good education and so I don't need to do what so many of them are doing to themselves in the quest for and seduction of power and money. I do not have to do that because I had a leader called Patrick Manning, and whatever his faults may be, and I am not saying he was not without faults, whatever his faults may be, he has LNG in this country. He saved this country with natural gas. He's the one that did the managed trade dollar. He is the one that never instructed me what to do. Never. I answered to him. I answered to him with the governor, but he never gave me instructions. And he has my undying respect and admiration. And he is a man I can follow. Rowley, never, ever, ever.
Karen, we want to thank you so much. It's always a pleasure.
Good night, Karen.
Good night.
Get it straight.
Yes, good night.
That's the truth.
Thank you so much.
All right, I'm going.
Yeah, bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
You do well.
Dr.
Oh,
Ragoonath,
yeah.
I know you're smiling. You're sitting down there smiling.
I agree with everything she said, so I don't have a problem.
Yeah. I mean, listener, if it's one thing, I got to tell you, Karen speaks truth to power, and she's not speaking as an outsider. She was in the belly of the beast, you know what I mean?
Yes, like she said.
Eh?
But just like she said, but Dr. Ragoonath, the election madness is over, more or less.
Is it?
In 9 days, it will be over.
All right.
And after those 9 days, it's going to be focus on independence.
No. I know. I told people, I said the general election campaign started the day we started the campaign for the local government
Election.
And that general election campaign is going to continue from now straight until whenever that election is held.
Would
the red camp be campaigning still on local government reform, or by then they're going to figure out how to reform the local government?
Let me make one thing clear. In fact, since last night, people have been asking the question: local government reform. Why do Trinidadians not take local government seriously and so forth? And to a large extent, all the things in the local government reform legislation that the government passed last year, if they were to implement all of those things, it would change the face of local government and would be able to earn the respect of the citizenry to participate more in local government. But in the government passing that legislation last year, they had no intention, and I still think that they have no real intention of implementing that piece of legislation to its full extent. And I told people, I said, I couldn't say it before because they would have said that I was campaigning against the government. But I said privately that the first big error that the PNM made when they kept on saying, we bring in reform. One of the key centerpieces of that reform should have been setting up the local government corporations and councils in like manner as the THA operates in Tobago with an executive council and so forth. Now they passed that legislation. So that is the intention. But from the time the government called this election, that aspect of the reform was pushed aside. And we cannot have, and since we have elected now a local government council for the next 4 years, we cannot have that bit of reform for the next 4 years. In other words, the executive councils that they passed and since last year cannot be implemented until we have a next local government election. Right? It cannot be implemented because you cannot hire people as part-time people.
And then
in the middle of the term, tell them, I make you full-time. You can't do that. And even the electorate cannot be treated in that regard.
But Dr. Ragoonath, they are being treated like that because the counselors of them are still part-time, or they're still part-time.
Yeah.
Right? And they don't have a full-time position. They may have a job, which is a full-time job, but they are part-time. And all of a sudden, you can't come in the middle of it and change it and tell them, you know what, no, you're full-time now.
Exactly. So we have to wait until another local government election before we could change that. So the reform may come in for the next 4 years.
Taxes will come though.
No, and that is why last night the Prime Minister said we're going to start implementing the reform, because the first thing we're going to implement is the property tax.
But here's the question. Is there a mechanism for the corporation to collect property taxes?
No, I think it's going to go back now to the old system, where property taxes are going to be collected by the Ministry of Finance, through the revenue offices and so forth. And thereafter, they will then decide to hand it over. That is assuming they will hand it over, all of it, to the local government authorities. The other aspect about that property tax and the reform, the argument has been put forward time and again by the PNM that now local government will have a source of revenue because they will get property tax. Now, this source of revenue from the government for local government prior to property tax has always been subventions coming from the Ministry of Finance into the local government authorities. The property tax aspect of it is going to be likewise the same as we would have had it, where if the municipality was getting $100 million for the year and they are able to collect $25 million in property taxes, then the other $75 million has to come from the central government.
True.
But remember what I just said, the other $75 million.
Yes.
So the governments, they're still not getting no extra money, you know. They're getting the same amount of money that the government has put on the subvention for them. But the access to the property tax, assuming it is accessible, is going to work out that way. Now, let me use another example to illustrate what I just said and how it doesn't work. The government introduced GATE. From Patrick Mann in time, we had GATE, where the government is going to pay the tuition fees for students coming to university and tertiary level institutions. Right now, UWI, and I asking you this, I'm telling you this as a fact. Right now, UWI has not been given GATE for the last academic year. Mind you, the government puts it on the books that we owe UWI that money, but UWI are getting it. So you imagine with property tax, the government is collecting the property tax and saying we're going to give Port of Spain $25 million in property taxes. Saying that they will give it to them doesn't mean to say they're going to give it to them, you know.
Dr. Shane, as far as GATE is concerned, was the money allocated in the budget for UWI?
Yes.
So why didn't they pay UWI that money out of that budgetary?
It was only allocated and
dispersed.
Dispersed is two different things.
There's a big difference.
and Dr. Ragoonath, that's a good point, because in property tax they can do the same thing too.
That's the point I'm making.
But Dr. Ragoonath, the other day they fined $40 million for some velodrome. the people need the money at gate.
They find the $40 million for the velodrome, and I agree with that. No. They didn't say they find it. They're allocating $40 million.
Oh, they meant they're allocating. Oh, God.
Whether it will be paid in the next year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, we don't know.
What are they doing with the money, Dr. Ragoonath? What are they doing with the money?
How do you think they run an election?
They allocate that just before the local election. Come on, you see they get the turn sod all kind of thing. That might be another year.
No.
The turn sod for what? To plant a tree?
Call me, but I read the budget yet to say where the $40 million coming from, you know.
Yeah, correct is right. You know,
call me, but they didn't
so that's just Mama give them then.
So that is not part of any budgetary allocation that has been put aside there yet.
But monies have to be dispersed once they mobilize a contractor, no?
No.
If they mobilize a contractor.
I don't think that's done yet.
And that they're done yet?
I don't think that's done yet. This was just camouflage. Local election coming. We had the velodrome, the Palaseco velodrome sitting down there since 1942. Let me go and fool the people and tell them we go turn sod and we got allocate 40 million and we go deal with whatever it is later. But all the people now, all the local electors, you see what we're doing? Just like going and patch and pave road all about the place.
And Palaseco vote for the PNM and they won the seat. Well, all right, they win the seat now. Question is, are they going to get the velodrome?
Here is the other question. What about if my corporation is allocated 100 million, but the government only used to give me 75 million? What happens?
Nothing happens.
I still getting the 100 million. I getting the 25. No. Wait. No. Wait. Dr. Ragoonath, you're sure about this?
I'm sure about that.
If I was getting, my allocation was 75 million.
And
you collect property taxes of 100 million. I want my 100 million.
No. That's two different things now. We talk about if you collect the property tax and you are now, so the government has said that once the property tax is collected, that portion of the property tax that belongs to you should be paid to your corporation. But that property tax alone is insufficient to do everything that you have to do. So the government have to top up on that property tax. So that's why I say if property tax comes in at 25 million, the allocation that we put for the corporation for the year is 100 million. We say, all right, fine, they're going to get 25 million from property tax. Let's assume they actually disburse it. The other 75 million, however, is supposed to come from the consolidated fund. But the way government releases monies is that they don't necessarily release money in bulk. They won't release it at the beginning of the financial year. And for those of you who know how some ministries operate, they will tell you that the end of the financial year is August 31st. The new financial year starts on September the 1st. Do you know that it starts on October the 1st. The end of financial year is the end of 30th of September. Do you know that in many instances, releases are made to ministries and state agencies on the 29th of September, and they rush now to go and pay for this and pay for that and pay for that because they're trying to spend money. But in many instances, the release, so even if you are allocated 100 million, the whole year you might only get 60 million. And then on the 29th of September, we come and allocate you, give you a 10 million. And you are expected to spend that 10 million
in one day.
And if you don't spend it in a day, guess what? It goes back to the consolidated fund.
What do you mean?
Yeah, but Dr. Ragoonath, listen to this, right? I'm thinking this. So what are you saying is that there is no corporation will collect more in property tax than the allocation that the government was making previously before allocating property tax to the corporation. So for example, there is no corporation will collect more property tax, more dollars in property tax than an allocation that came from the government.
None.
None? Okay.
And bear this in mind. No, and bear this in mind.
Yeah.
As the law currently stands, the property taxes that will go to the corporations are only residential property taxes.
Correct.
So take, for instance, Port of Spain. Let me use Port of Spain as an example. You have part of East Dry River, part of Port of Spain, and you have Woodbrook and St. James, part of Port of Spain, and you have Belmont, part of Port of Spain. Now, those are residential areas. The downtown Port of Spain is not residential.
Commercial.
It's commercial.
Right.
But Port of Spain municipality again has sent from downtown.
Yeah. Now let us touch that. We own.
Right. So all of that. So now you're going to say Woodbrook, St. James, St. Anne's, and Belmont, East Dry River, Sea Lots. That's Port of Spain.
Dr. Ragoonath, I gotta give the government credit. And I gotta give the people credit also, because them just take anything. Because if you have property tax and the first thing you're gonna collect is residential property tax as opposed to commercial property tax, which is gonna be more, it ain't making sense. It ain't making sense.
It don't make sense.
It just and the people in the country sitting down and taking that and talking about, hey, it's local government reform, right? And Dr. Ragoonath.
But Anselm, Faris didn't explain it properly though.
Who's that?
Remember?
Faris?
Yeah. Some computer
turning on the computer. I asked about Dr. Ragoonath about. Go ahead, Tommy.
What's unfortunate is that the businesses require more service than the residents.
Listen, Tommy.
And that's not part of property tax.
No, that's no. The commercial, I don't understand this. And Dr. Ragoonath, they talk about local government reform, right? And I've said this over and over. If I have a parlor, a hardware store, I'm mining a little chicken, I'm mining some pigeon, I have a little garden, but I have it enclosed, right? They could consider it to be mixed use and it's commercial property.
Yeah.
And I have to pay 5% on that.
Uh-huh.
So it's not now 3%, it's 8%.
But think about it. The business people don't have to pay in any of those things because we are reached there yet.
And how many years it would take to reach there?
Yeah, how long it would take?
That's the important question. After 2025.
Oh, so they have at least 2 years grace. They have 2 years grace.
Of course.
They're not gonna they not wanna bring it up in the general election. That would be a thorn. A thorn in voters' side.
Post 2025.
All the bright people we have in this country, nobody wants to touch that with a 25.
How come the activists and them who are fighting, whether you're PNM or UNC, well, not PNM. I mean, the UNC supposed to be bringing these things up. The councillors don't know if they're permanent or part-time. They still seem to be part-time.
No. Based on the election that we had yesterday, all councillors, except the ones who are going to be elected as mayors, are part-time.
Wait. I thought this is a 4-year full-time.
No. And that's what that's the point I was making. That the full reform cannot come until the next election.
I thought they voted for it. It should have come now.
All right. Okay, so let me use the example to illustrate. In 1996, when we decided to give Tobago executive council and so on, and when I say we, are talking about Trinidad and Tobago, right? The Parliament passed the law that we're going to give them an executive council, so they're no longer going to be part-timers, they're going to be full-timers and so on. On the morning of the election that they were having in 1996, on that said morning, they proclaimed the legislation to say that as of today, all councillors will be, all assemblymen will be full-time assemblymen. So people, they would have told the people that before, as they are being nominated to fight the election, they would have been fully aware that on the morning of the election, we couldn't do it before because there was the whole assembly in place. But on the morning of the election, we're going to proclaim the law. So once you are elected, you come in as a full-time assemblyman. That was supposed to be what was supposed to have happened in Trinidad. But the government, when they were pushed into having the election, decided they were not going to proclaim that bit of the legislation. The only thing in fact, everything that was passed last year, what was proclaimed? Only the one thing that was proclaimed, that we're moving local government from 3 years to 4 years. But everything else that was proclaimed, nothing apart, that was passed in legislation, and it is part of the act now, but it has not been proclaimed by the president, so we cannot implement it. The unfortunate thing is that I always tell people this. I say politicians say what they want to say because it suits them. I raised it directly with Faris Alwari. I said, Minister, your administrative staff in all the corporations say they are not prepared and they are not made aware of how they affect them. And he immediately changed the topic of conversation. We're doing data, we're collecting data, everything is going on. And so, yeah, but you're not telling me anything about data is one thing. Telling the staff how they're going to function. You're not telling them that. Now they have not told them and they have no intention of implementing it. So the implementation that Peter already spoke last night about, who after Coleman reads the budget, he's going to say property tax is going to be implemented. Right. That's this year. Next year, they will probably talk about, let us see whether we could the management structures. In other words, make sure every corporation have a lawyer, and every corporation have an engineer, and every corporation have an accountant, and so forth. Whether they have the money to pay those people is another question. So, but next year they might. That I think is the next level that they will move to implementation of reform. But so far, and all of that is going to tell you is that they are going to strengthen the administration. But that doesn't mean power has shifted in any way whatsoever, because all of the people who are going to be hired, as they are right now, are accountable to the Ministry of Local Government. And the Public Service Commission, or the Statutory Authority Service Commission, whoever will appoint those people, because Port of Spain and San Fernando and Arima fall under Statutory Authority Service Commission. and everybody else fall under Public Service Commission. So Public Service Commission have to appoint. So for instance, Pinal Debe needs an accountant. Public Service Commission has to be the one who's going to appoint an accountant to go down there. But Public Service Commission will only appoint an accountant to go down there when CPO tells them we have the financing. When is CPO going to tell them we have the financing to pay that accountant? When Finance and General Purposes Committee of the Cabinet tells CPO, you now have funding to go and pay these staff, these new members of staff. So if you understand how our administration works, this is not something that could happen overnight. This is not something that will happen probably over a year. Until now, okay, so let me give you this simple thing. When they passed the legislation last year, and they say councillors who are going to become members of the executive council of the council, and they were full-time, guess what? Until today, and I say this without fear of contradiction, until today, CPO, who is supposed to determine what salaries we're going to pay these executive councillors, what is going to be their salary range, they have started to consider that yet. So they don't even know when that will happen. And that will only happen when Finance and General Purposes Committee of the Cabinet gives them the approval. Rowley just lost an election. He could say he win. Last night his speech was a concession speech. But he could say he win because he get back 7 councils. But anytime you start off with 72, and we increase the numbers that from 139 to 141, and you drop from 72 to come down to 71 or 70, I do consider that a victory. I consider that a loss. So he has said, but now in that instance, question is Finance and General Purposes Committee of the Cabinet going to now give local government the resources that they need to do the reform? No. So we're not going to get a reform.
So Dr. Ragoonath, so this is the biggest hoax of local government reform, disguised as local government election.
Yeah.
I didn't think he was going to agree with me so easily. I thought you would have a little fight back.
I totally agree with you. And I'm telling you this because this is not only my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I mentioned it on the show, on your program already. In May, we had a conference in Trinidad. I had people from the Commonwealth here sitting with me, and they were with me when I spoke to Faris Alwari about it. And as Faris Alwari walked out, the lady from England just looked at me and says, Vishnu, there are no reform. I said, they have no reform.
I am at a loss for words that this whole LG was based on LGF. LGE was based on LGR. Local government election based on local government reform. Right?
See,
that's all.
The reform should have taken place before the election, and then they would have had something that.
Then they had something to sell.
But the people bought it. The people bought it, Ragoonath.
Gullible.
The people in the country bought it.
Gullibility.
They bought it.
131,000 people voted for the PNM.
Yep, and they put them back to run 7 corporations.
Yeah.
So they like it, so they're free. You know what I mean?
That's their democratic right.
That's right. That's right. This is until the government took away the democratic rights by extending the councillors from 3 years to 4 years, and they had also go to the Privy Council to get back the democratic rights.
Yeah.
Right? Because it was the people that elected these councillors into 3 years, and the government decided on its own, right, to decide to go to the parliament, pass law to change it, and the Privy Council had to tell them, boss, listen, this is a representative democracy. That is the right of the people. They elected them, and they should be the one going to vote for them on an extension for 3 or 4 for another year or so. And the government lost in the Privy Council, right? And they
So mind you, the government could have gone to Parliament and extended the life of the council from 3 years to 4 years. They could have done that. Why the Privy Council ruled against them was simply because when they went to the Parliament and they were discussing the whole reform package, they never said, we will extend the sitting council for an additional year. They said councils will come in,
right,
and when they come in, they will serve for 4 years.
right.
Now, with a simple amendment, because all local government, in fact, last night, Shane and I was in a heavy discussion on this. Local government is not constitutionally enshrined in Trinidad. With a simple majority, the government could decide tomorrow, we don't want local government again. We are abandoning local government with a simple majority. So they could just decide tomorrow, we're going to close down all the local government councils. Notwithstanding that people vote for them and whatever else.
And I could fully understand that, because with 1 million people, you don't need all that administration.
So they could do that. But the point about it is that if they go to that extent, then they will have now to deal with other things. People complain to me and tell me, why do we have to have local government election? You know how much money spent on a local government election? I said, but you know how much people get money who wasn't getting money before?
True.
Yeah, that's employment there, you know.
Big
yes, that's plenty money passing.
I would tell you, when they had the meeting in Sani Grande, the PNM, when the Prime Minister was doing his conversations with the Prime Minister in Sani Grande. Now, I don't know the people from Sani Grande. I born and I grew up in St. Augustine. Diana knows that. So I don't know Sani Grande. The same night he was doing the conversations in Sani Grande, somebody wrote me and told me, somebody from Sani Grande, boy, the crowd here is a CPEP crowd. I said, what? So I wrote back and said, what do you mean, CPEP crowd? They said, these are the CPEP groups or contractors, workers, the CPEP workers, who their contractors told them, go and fill that room. Now, mind you, yes, there would be a few PNM people, loyalists and party stalwarts and so on, there. But they would tell them it is a CPEP crowd now. And so I said, I really can't say yay or nay to that because I don't know. Okay? I am just looking at what I'm seeing on the television. But it reminded me, that statement reminded me of an event probably about 15 years ago or more, when there was a no confidence motion against Patrick Manning that was going to be debated in the Parliament. And the PNM arranged for a whole big rally in Woodford Square before that debate started. And one of the media houses called me and asked me, come down to the square now, and because we're going to do this thing, do a live thing from the square. And I went into the square that day, and I remember after doing an interview, and then I don't know the lady walked up to me, I hope you're bad talking my prime minister. No. I said, no, I am merely saying, I mean, we were doing a program out of the Woodford Square. And she said, it's because of that prime minister, I have my work, you know. I said, what work? She said, I mean, look, my whole team here, we working on a CPAP contract in San Grande. And she did say San Grande. And I said, but what are they doing here today? Because today's a working day. She said, no, this is, we getting paid for today, you know. But we have to be here. And I said, okay, fine. And so I know that has been a tradition when you need to bring out people. You all may not know.
I know.
Even when they have screening, in Balize House, and the screening for some constituencies, and you see a set of people come out to support the nominee, a particular nominee, particularly so if it's the incumbent, and you ask, and they tell you straight, that's part of the CPEP contractors. They had to come out there and support. And that's the reality.
So, Dr. Ragoonath, Victoria says all the government, both PNM and UNC, uses the CPEP because they see fit. This is no discussion that is wrong. I disagree with Victoria because the UNC not in power, so the UNC can use no CPEP workers, right? The PNM is in power. So if the PNM want to stop it, the PNM is in power, they can stop it. But the PNM just continues. So I don't want to, I mean, when the UNC come into power, if the UNC comes into power, we could deal with it.
And I understand too that they're forcing them to come out and march and walk, or they're threatening them to cut them from the labor pool. And that's not fair.
We were telling Diana the same thing that you talking, Dr. Ragoonath. That listen, they don't have a choice. This is how they feed their family.
Yeah, but that is not fair.
Diana, this is how they feed their family.
That ain't fair. I don't care how you feed your family. You can't. Okay, Joe Biden has forced you to come out and march whenever they're having thing anywhere, or your governor.
That's different. I don't work for Joe Biden.
Okay, well, so come on. That ain't fair. And threatening your livelihood, which you barely have already. You barely have a livelihood, and you're threatening me to take it away from me. That's not fair.
In politics, anything is fair. Just ask it.
Dr. Ragoonath, we grew up in the same street, basically. I never know all this bacchanal used to go on in Trinidad politics. I'm astounded.
You didn't listen to Karen just now?
I'm astounded. Yeah, and I'm hearing. I'm like, wow, really? All this thing going on? And I don't know if you remembered, but my mother's husband used to train gamecocks.
Yeah.
Right? And one of the visitors to our home was Jack O'Halloran. I remember that. And he would come and tell me which cock they want to train, rooster to train to carry it up in the bush and fight. Yeah. Jack O'Halloran. Me and he had an encounter and I cuffed him in the belly.
But
I know what
well, we're talking about two different societies, and one much more politically matured. One that's still a fledgling democracy.
But that ain't fair to the people, though. That ain't fair. You're threatening them to take away. They're barely getting scrums, like Anselm would say. And you're threatening them.
Survival.
But it ain't fair. It ain't fair.
Yeah, but Victoria she's saying it's wrong what both parties do to them. Yeah, but it's wrong. But if the PNM wants to stop it, they're in power. They could stop it.
Stop what? The unfairness?
Yeah, if the PNM is in power, if the PNM want to stop using CPEP workers to carry them to rally and carry them to march and all this they could stop it yesterday.
But do they want to
do that?
Do they want?
Let me ask you something. Any government in power, any government, UNC, whoever. So I agree with Victoria to the extent that it says that all parties, once they are in government, they do it.
That's right.
All parties, when they are in government. So, for instance, yesterday I think it is when Keith Rowley went to vote, and they were doing an interview with him just after he cast his vote. They asked him, "What about setting dates for elections? Like in the same way that you will have it in the US." So we know that when is the next election date, and he said, "No, I mean we have a system. We will work with the system. If he does that, set an election date. So we know that, for instance, the what
Monday
in
November,
in October or November or whatever else, and we know that upfront. Then parties could strategize. But it was always, as Patrick Manning say, he have it in his back pocket.
Right.
And when he ready, he'll pull it out. And like a thief in the night, election will come.
Yeah, that's his words.
Right? Like a thief in the night.
And the people okay with that. The people okay with that.
They okay with that. And the parties.
Okay with that.
If government change tomorrow.
Okay with that.
The other party want any different?
Nah, they ain't changing that. They okay with that. So Diana, you upset when the people are okay with that. The people okay with going on march and do have to work because them telling themselves, look, and they'll gain them food to it, they'll feed them to it, right?
Right.
Feed them, give them a little rum, a little babash, you know what I mean? And they give them some wherever they want to feed them a little bacon shack, and they sit down in the bus and they ride down to Sandy Grande.
And they get a day's pay.
And they get a day's pay. Use the CPEP gang in Sandy Grande. Because all about their thing. They use the CPEP gang down there, close by, and they tell them, listen, now let us show up. We send in a maxi for you, and they send the maxi and they show up because they're taking attendance. If you ain't come, you ain't getting pay.
You're getting pay.
You ain't getting pay. You hear that, Diana? If you ain't come, you ain't getting pay. Don't want to get paid now, Diana. Diana, Mean Gene asks, so Diana, what do you expect the people to do?
What do you mean if you don't come, you don't get paid? That is.
If you don't show up, you don't get paid. Remember, these people are paid by the day.
All you need to fix that society. Too corrupt. Too corrupt and mobilizing for me, boy.
We have a culture of corruption here, girl.
Yeah.
Plethora of corruption.
Diana, Mean Gene asks, so Diana, what do you expect the people to do?
Mean Gene. Anyway.
Okay.
That's a plethora of corruption. What do you mean? What do you mean? If you don't take a stance for stuff, people gonna keep, giving you horse money or stand up.
And them people again. How they go take a stand is
how you mean how you take a stand? People driving horse money down your throat and you gonna just stand up there and take it?
Diana,
you have to recognize it's a survival game,
Survival of the fittest. Survival, And it's
Wait. No, come on camera.
Days, Them Dr. Ragoonath, there are sick days. There is get sick days.
I don't know the contract how CPF workers.
You're surviving, but you ain't creating no intergenerational wealth.
They know.
Not CPEP. CPEP and URP is not for that.
Them is
Okay. They get my point precisely. You're not creating. You have no avenue of creating intergenerational wealth, but they want to bully you to make you come out to march too. And if you don't, you're threatening to take away the little kakada from me. That makes sense. Nah, I know. But then let me go and find something else somewhere.
You know what it's called?
I'm not just saying it's a make work.
Here. No. Just to answer her, they are. For everyone who wants to go and find something else, you have 25 people waiting to replace them.
And that is the culture. Who create that culture?
Oh God!
Who create that work culture? Who create 45 people waiting to replace one person that leave? Who create that?
Dana, you know why Nar lose the election? Nar? And I remember I was in Trinidad, and I remember changed the hours for unemployment relief program. That's URP, unemployment relief program. That's what it's called, right, Dr. Ragoonath?
Yeah.
Yeah, and listen, that's for unemployed people. And that program was started in the 1960s, if I could remember. It's still called
Then it was Jude.
Jude, that's right.
In the 1960s.
Correct. It was Dude. And then they changed it to the unemployment relief program. And we
It was what before? Dude?
DEWD.
Yes.
In those days, we used to call them Dr.
Daily employed workers or something.
Whatever that is. And then we have unemployment relief program.
Yeah.
That's for people who are unemployed. And in 2023, it's still called unemployment relief
I
program.
agree with Nessie. Plantation mentality. That's what it is. And holding this thing over your head.
Remember, no, but you have to understand the context of these workers. These workers are hired on a fortnightly basis.
Yep.
On a fortnightly basis. That means you get in at 10 days, what we call at 10 days.
Yeah.
If you are not doing what you are required to do, your name not going on my list for next week, the next fortnight.
Cancel Christmas, it's over for you.
So that's why we have these people hitched to this poverty wagon, and they're not seeing their way. No, y'all have some kind of, you have to have some sort of, you want something for yourself, man.
That train already left the station, man. That train left the station because after they got accustomed to working CPEP, you understand? Some of these people don't have the education or them to try to do something else. They have to hang on to this because this is how they feed their family on a daily basis. So, survival of the fittest, when you're in room.
No. But they can do better. They should want better for themselves and motivate themselves upward. Use that as a stepping stone and go and move from there. That's what I say.
I think they want. So, Dr.
Don't nobody hang no dog over you cause you to march. Oh no.
By the way, I want to congratulate you. I saw you, Dr. Indira Rampasad, Dr. Shane Mohammed, and the other young lady. I don't remember her name. The other doctor as well.
Dr. Marlene Atz.
Dr. Marley, right. You guys were splendiferous. I mean, talking about the election and so on, and then they had the panel with Dr. Amy Brown, the young lady from PEP, the young man from NTA, and then the other fellow from a party I never heard about. What party was that?
The
United Farmers.
United Farmers something.
Yeah. The United Farmers Alliance.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was really fantastic. But you didn't give a decision. You didn't make a prediction, did you?
I did not make a prediction because I have always known politics swings. The pendulum swings anyhow. I don't make predictions. I tell people I don't have a crystal ball.
But I make a prediction for the first time. I was 9 UNC, 5 p.m. And I was close.
You get licks for that, huh?
I get licks for that.
No, in fact, no. To be honest with you, I mean, I didn't predict it on television, but I expected the 7-7 outcome. I expected that. I said, if anything is to change, because in fact, some of my colleagues in the media had spoken to me during the course of the week, last week, and told me that PNM had become very antsy and very concerned in San Fernando. And there was always that concern that San Fernando would swing. So whatever. But I turned it and told them, I says, look, for the UNC to win San Fernando, they have to win 2 clear seats beyond what they have. And that is an uphill task for them. So I'm hoping that they will not win it, but they will make significant inroads into what will seem to be PNM areas. Well, they did, apparently. But then, we're not too sure after the reconks, what will happen? Because the PNM has asked for reconks in the 2 San Fernando seats. UNC won.
But there are also the 14 other seats that the UNC asked for recounts to as well.
Yeah.
You know, so it's
no, but one of the San Fernando seats that the UNC won, I think they won it by 12 votes.
Yeah. Something like that, right? So it's still very, very close.
Yeah.
But Dr. Ragoonath, as usual, we want to say thank you so much. I know it's been a busy, fast few days for you. With this, this form, you could relax and put your legs up and relax yourself.
9 more days of
9-day wonder. The 9-day wonder.
You can go to Barbados for a vacation.
So any closing words before you go, Dr. Ragoonath?
Well, if I may take my neighbor's perspective, we have a plethora of corruption that we have to clean up in Trinidad. And I don't know whether there's the political will. Maybe I shouldn't say I don't know. I know for a fact that there's no political will that will be cleaned up in the near future. So we are in for hard times ahead. And that's all I will say to that.
Dr. Ragoonath, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ragoonath.
Good night.
All right. Okay, bye-bye. So there you have it, folks. Let me get him out of here. So there you have it. A spirited discussion tonight.
Boy, was it?
You know, I mean, we only keep raising the bar, boy. We keep raising the bar. We keep and that's what it's about. So, folks, just before we go for the break, Rose, Nadia, Victoria, Nancy, Mean Jean, Tropics, Albert Montano.
Tropics in here?
Yeah, Ailey. Look, even Pico's coming here. Pico's, Rennie Mohammed. Pico's come back, boy. Pico's come back. Denise
Tropics, what's going on?
Davidson, Ken John.
You know who I miss? The nuts, man.
Miss plenty people, boy. What, boy? All right, only put closing comments in the chat. Stick and stay. We'll be right back after this short message. Send the village to the Dat Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM.
You're listening to WZYE 95.9 FM. You are listening to WZYE 95.9 FM, the most influential name in Caribbean radio in the tri-state area. Broadcasting from East Orange, New Jersey, the most influential name in Caribbean radio, WZYE 95.9 FM.
Get back with you. It's in the village with the Dat Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. We come there every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. So, folks, on Thursday, we're doing something a little different. We're bringing in Paul Saran, right? Paul has... let me put it, boy.
Interesting.
Paul wants to be a political analyst, scientist. And he's currently at UWI, finishing up his degree. So we're gonna have Paul as a guest on Thursday. So and we wanna see if we could lift people up here in the village on WZYE 95.9 FM. So Paul is a friend. Yes. All right. So my closing quote is: invest in yourself. You can afford it. Trust me. So invest in yourself. You can afford it. Trust me. From where I sit, this is it. The clock on the wall. So that's all I like to say, but I've got to go. Remember, hard work beats talent. When talent does not work hard, and for every 60 seconds of anger, you lose 1 minute of happiness. Remember, your circumstances may determine who you are, but you are responsible for who you become. There you go, Tommy.
Yes, serenity now. Serenity now. That's all I have to say to start with. But like I always say, the change you want to see, you have to become it. You, the man in the mirror. Look in the mirror. If you see what you don't like, don't blame the mirror. Again, do not look down on a person unless you're giving them a hand up, which is what we try to do here on WZYE. Like I always say, love you all. See you next time. Be safe.
Thank you, Tommy.
Thank you.
Here we go, Diana.
I'm going to try to sum up what went on in my way with the election and all that in a satirical piece. There we go. You're voting for party and not country, like you don't care about the conditions affecting your fellow Trinidadian. Sticking your finger in the ink loyally, all in an effort to support your party blindly. You don't care that roads are crumbling, not concerned that crime is escalating, food prices keep rising, some on the brink of starving, and your salary not increasing. You ain't worried about home invasion because it ain't reach your domicile location. Can't get a legal gun to protect yourself. You're like a sitting target out there on a shelf. Your neighborhood in a dilapidated state. Fellow citizens being murdered at an alarming rate. Corruption is the modus operandi. Prime Minister say who dead, dead, so somebody gonna have to die. Can't get a loan from a bank. For this, you don't know who to thank. You're satisfied with 120 days of work a year. Savings account so low you have nothing to spare. And your food pantries are tethering on bare. No clean water from your pipe months now. You have to cook, bathe, and clean somehow. If you do get water from your pipe, it dripping slowly before it stops flowing eventually, and you still have to pay the bill dutifully. Healthcare system, that too in disarray. Go to the hospital for services, you're not getting them today. Medication in short supply. Waiting for a procedure, you may just die. The rich getting richer whilst the poor getting poorer. With no prospects of a job, the poor are forced to steal from the rich and rob. You're reduced to waiting on a hamper. Some of you lucky ones get a Western Union or MoneyGram dollar. You're completing with the Venice for cheap labor, even taking up post at the street corner. Local election leave the country split in half. This is no joke. We mustn't laugh. You don't want to aspire together to achieve a nation that fares better. If you keep on voting party and not country, citizens will continue to suffer daily, yearly, intergenerationally. An original piece by me, the Onyx Wave, Diana Benskin. Auf Wiedersehen till we meet again. Good night, people.
There you go. See the Dodie Park, boy. See lash the Dodie Park, boy. Lash, lash, lash. You know what lash means, right?
Yeah. Whoop. A six.
Yeah, lash Dodie Park. Okay, so Nessie says, if ADT could change one thing about the voters, Trinidad and Tobago, what will that be? Oh God. We gotta answer that question next time.
Yeah, next time.
Let me save that question. Nessie, send me that question. Send me that question. We definitely go deal with that Thursday. We go deal with that. No joke. That's a very good question. CPT sings, Captain sings, he let them suffer.
Oh Lord.
No, we don't get vexed with him because he consistent, man. We don't have no problem with CPT consistent. Good night, everyone. Blessed and stay safe, everyone. Nadia. Good night, folks. Get ready for PNM reform. Of course, that is no other than Arjun. Denise says substantive and spirited dialogue as always. Thanks for the learning opportunity. Thank you to all guests. Thank you very much. Yeah, man. We're very spirited in the village. Yeah. Mr. Rose, welcome. Let me see. Yeah. Okay. I think that is it.
Thank you, so S West. Thank you, Denise G.
Yeah. Thank you, Rose. Rose says, God bless you all. Be safe until next time. Yeah. Good night to you as well. 5 West. Who is 5 West?
I don't know.
5 West.
S West. Not 5 West, S West.
Oh, oh. Oh God. This, I lied by. Yeah.
You need new glasses.
Closing comments, Rose says, sorry you all that I'm not able to stay long on the program these days, but it's all because I felt ill with the flu. And
Oh dear.
but I'm pulling through. Rose, we wish you speedy recovery. Speedy recovery. Yeah?
Oh, indeed.
Yeah. Nessie says, amen, Princess Diana.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Rose sends hearts. Denise says, well done, Diana. Yeah. Rose says Diana, and she gave you some emojis there. Yeah. So folks, we're gonna go out to this seems like it's part of our anthem song now. Mr. Trinidad. You know what I mean? This is Maestro. From way back when. Still applies today. Good night, folks.
Mr. Trinidad, tell me what's in you on. Do you just like political confusion? You criticizing the way you live, yet you can't produce an alternative. You say you against the power structure, you ain't like the opposition either. But take care, you jump out the hot water and end up in the center of the fire. Because you refuse to vote in election, but then you want revolution. You're strongly against communism. You walk out on colonialism. You say if William had to go, but who to replace him? You ain't know. So to make a long story short from in front, Trinidadians they really know what they want. My friend, if you don't want democracy, opposite is guerrilla activity. If you don't want democratic improvement, you have to want a revolutionist government. And yet when Guy Harewood went in the hills with Jennifer Jones, you let them get killed. All you're doing is winning and skyrocketing. You come like the ass in the lion's skin. Because you say Robinson is a traitor. You say what's than that about Ranger. You say Kamal seeking his own interest. You call Millet a Marxist Leninist. You are ODAC, neither DLP, and you say TNM is only Ratchet. Well, you tie up yourself. I gonna tell you why. Trinidadians just like plenty mama guys.